2+2 is proud to bring you the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
This week on the Pokercast, Dani Stern, voicemails, emails, and news. Now, here they are, Adam and Terrence.
Welcome to the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. I am your host, A. Schwartz, joined in studio by Roscoe P.
Hi. Nice to be on your show again.
Coltrane, and also by Mr. Terrence Chan in Hong Kong. T, how are you?
Ugh. Good morning from the future.
Oh, it's December, what? No, it's 4th there.
It's the 4th.
Yeah,
here.
early
it's
morning.
The 4th. It's the sun is starting to come up somewhere over the smoggy skyline of Hong Kong Harbor.
Sick brag. December 3rd, 2015, as I mentioned. This week on the show we have Dani Stern, who's going to come on and talk about some of the more stuff on the changes of PokerStars, the VIP Club, as well as the strike, the boycott sit-out that's happening at PokerStars. December.
Strike implies they work for PokerStars.
Yes, indeed. I guess strike is the wrong word. We also are going to be joined by our old friend Patrick Parkinson, who is one of the nicest guys in poker you're ever going to meet. And if you do happen to come across him at a poker tournament, be sure to drag him over to the bar and have a pint and get some stories, because he's a European poker historian. So we're going to have him on. He's actually in Paris. And I believe was there or close to when the recent attacks happened. So we'll touch on that a little bit and then get into some stuff with European poker. That'll be
Somebody pointed out to me that, and like it's probably a really good time to visit Paris if you've never wanted to be there. Like, you can probably get hotel rooms and flights and cheap and all that kind of stuff really easily. They'll probably actually treat you well as a tourist. It's probably a really good time to go to Paris.
Yeah, well, Paris is a fantastic city. God,
Yeah.
I've been there twice for vacations and loved every minute of it. Would love to get back one day.
And then, of course, you can support the local economy in their times of trouble.
That's right. That's a good point. And have a bunch of fun doing it. We took last week off.
Feels like it's been forever.
It does, yeah.
Right.
It's been a couple of weeks. We're sitting around. It was like the day of the show, and there was nothing really happening in poker. It was like one of those dead times. Some people not too happy we took the week off, maybe, but we're back this week. Lots to get to. We have a dedicated phone line now to set up. We've been begging for emails for many months now, and thank you.
Made it to the 20th century,
right? And
just in time for the 21st.
And thanks so much to everybody who sends in emails. Continue to do so. They're the backbone of that particular segment of the PokerCast. But you can also now phone your questions in and have them recorded, played back on the PokerCast. This is a telephone answering machine type thing where you can leave a message. Roscoe, what is the phone number for this specific line?
1-702-799-9949.
That's a bad announcer.
We argue if you buy now, it's now
Call the
you can
PokerCast
get
now.
2 voicemails for the price of one.
702-799-9949.
Crazy Ross's discount of PokerCast.
But you won't remember that, so just look at my Twitter, and it's in my undertitle, and I put it there.
At PokerCast Ross.
Yeah.
Sick Twitter brag right there.
Hit the follow button.
Yeah. Do we want to play one of the
for the non-American, non-Canadian folks? Is the +1 before that? We got
right.
some tweets about that.
I'm getting
excellent point.
A ton of random phone calls. I probably should have Googled the number before I bought it.
It's probably close to like a porn line or something where it's like one number off.
Yeah.
Well, every 702 number, I think I mentioned this to you guys, like every 702 number you get now is pretty much like recycled from someone else, right? So it could be like, some like old drug dealer or like, prostitute or like some party line or strip club or who knows, right? Like when you get a Vegas phone number, especially one that's, like 799-9949, it's probably like a valuable phone number. Like somebody's probably used that in the past, but yeah, like it's.
And they're expecting Jim.
It's probably got some history behind it.
Yeah,
is all I'm saying.
yeah. I got a guy who called me like 40 times and then left this.
That's like backwards
That
language.
fantastic.
That doesn't even sound like a real language.
It sounds like Vietnamese or something.
Afrikaans? I don't know. Interesting. If anybody out there knows that language, please
we have some bitter poker podcasters who leave messages like this.
Hello, 2+2 Pokercast. This is Rich Ryan. I'm joined by Donnie Peters. Donnie, say hello.
Hello, guys.
We just wanted to call in. We are recording right now. This is the second message that we are leaving you because we are very unprofessional, and I forgot to hit the record button. But moreover, I just want to congratulate you guys on setting up the voicemail channel. I think it's a great, innovative idea. Really proud of the way you guys have trailblazed the podcasting industry in the poker space, and hope you guys enjoy all the input from the fans. So great idea, and looking forward to having it be executed. What do you think, DP?
I wouldn't go so far as saying it's a great idea. That's a bit too much praise, considering that they just copied us.
No, you don't think they listened to ours and then just did their own?
I mean, listen, I saw the tweet. They cited what we did. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. I totally understand, guys.
Ross?
But if I decide to, look or walk the other way in the hallways next year, sorry, guys.
Ross, if you start those goddamn Tinder tips, we're going to have words. All right?
Lots of words.
You guys have a great show. Love you guys.
See, the thing is...
What flavor of Haterade exactly was that? Is that the lemon, the lime, the orange? Boy.
I mean, we did copy them. Let's face it.
Okay, but in the... There was the Poker Road Radio before that. There was the Circuit before that. They both had call-in lines. So...
Or you 12 when those
Why don't people just get mad that we copied the idea of a podcast? Like, who was the first guy?
The first person.
Wait, we were the first poker podcast.
And is that person going to give us shit?
Yeah. So
they copied us doing a podcast. They copied us doing a podcast.
What I gathered from that call was
we are very unprofessional.
That's an awesome drop. Love it. All right, so check that out. Send in call in your hilarious anecdotes, hands, questions, whatever you want to.
I can start doing Bumble tips.
Bumble tips?
Yeah, or
what's Bumble?
Just another dating app.
Oh, if Bumble is a dating app? It's not Twitter. It's not Tinder.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Craigslist dating tips.
Some stuff to get to. First of all, the little bit of sports update. I know Terrence and Ross, you guys can't wait for this. The official English football teams of the Pokercast had an interesting 2 weeks. Sheffield Wednesday drew to Blackburn, doing quite well in the championship table, sitting 8th of 24 teams. Bournemouth not doing as well in the BPL, sitting 18th of 20. But they did draw with Everton last week at Dean Court in spectacular fashion. Everton goes up 2-0.
They drew with Everton, you say?
Yeah. You
at Dean Court.
You saw this, right?
I mean,
you were watching.
Something. I mean, Ross, surely.
Okay, let me explain how it was spectacular. Everton goes up 2-0. Bournemouth comes back, ties it at 2. End of the game, you know how football works, boys, right? There's at the end of the 90 minutes,
they take a player off.
They do not. They
take
a
player off.
They play 3-on-3.
At the end of it, they go to the shootout.
Right?
Yeah.
No, they add extra time because of all the rolling around on the pitch that soccer players tend to do after they get fouled. So they add time onto each at the end of that.
And one of them has to score a touchdown.
No touchdowns. In this particular game, there was 5 minutes added on. Now, Everton, right as the 5th minute was over, goes up 3-2 and a goal. But the fans, the Everton fans that had traveled to the stadium, they were the away team, rushed the pitch. And they were all tackling the players. It was chaos for a few minutes.
What?
Yeah, so the ref, now because the 5 minutes is up, the 5 minutes that he allowed for the extra time is up. They scored right in the last second. But now these guys are rolling around the pitch for minutes, so the ref, the ball goes back to center, and the game continues. And Bournemouth takes it down, scores in right down the field and scores. So in the eighth extra minute because they don't stop the clock. So
the fans cost
Everton the game, which is sort of fantastic. The other football, in the American football, hand egg, the Pokercast Fantasy Football League, the playoffs are 1 week away. Last week, my team, Huckleberry's Seed, I don't know if you guys knew that was my team name, Huckleberry's Seed, lost to Poker Media big shot Remco Rinkema, even though he didn't even bother to dress like the best wide receiver in football, and he left a tight end in, he was injured, didn't play.
Wait, so it's bad enough we have to complain about, or we hear about you complaining about like real life NFL coaches, and now you're making bad decisions, and now you're complaining about people in the poker media making bad fantasy football decisions.
We're very unprofessional.
Yeah, indeed. And he still beat me anyway, so that's how bad my team is.
And he has time to do that in between posting hundreds of pictures of himself in Prague.
I know, he's just the sick brag. Every time he looks around, he's got to take a picture and post it. I started out 7-0 in this league. I'm now 1-4 in the last 5 weeks. I'm limping into the playoffs if I even make it.
Fire the coach
next week. Hopefully, I think I have to win this week.
You fire the coach?
You cannot fire the coach. I am the coach. I can't get fired.
Well, you're fired.
Next thing I wanted to get to was this thing on iTunes, and we've talked about it a little bit. But here's the deal: we're 41st in the poker podcast rankings on iTunes.
Pretty sure we were first last week.
We're first in sports and games.
We were
How can we be first
in our section?
When I looked, hobbies. When I looked we were 41st when I looked. And behind podcasts that haven't recorded shows in 7 years.
Okay, well,
6 years. Like, it was
wrong
ridiculous.
With that.
Totally something's wrong with that. And so I tweeted out, I was trying to ask people out there who have any kind of SEO podcasting type knowledge, saying, guys, what's going on here? Why are we so low in this? You know, we get like 40, 50,000 downloads a week of the show, and you would think that, you know, that's a decent-sized number not to be 41st in the rankings. And some people came back and they said the biggest thing, or one of the biggest things,
doing a show every week?
iTunes... Oh, wow. These guys haven't done it for 7 years. Never mind missing 1 week.
Yeah, that's
and they're
clearly
ahead of us.
not it.
So that's clearly not it. But anyway, what some of the people were saying was you need listeners to go and do reviews. But
we have
specifically on iTunes.
We don't have a ton. We have some, and
we
thank
have
you to
more
people
than a lot of people. But I mean, yeah, definitely keep them going.
We need reviews.
I only see 3.
What?
I see 3 reviews. Is that not?
No, there's more there. I think you're missing some. Right. We've got a bunch. But
I see 136 ratings, and we average 5 stars. But I only see 3 actual reviews.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if I saw many more, so I don't know where you're looking. But point is, people, help. We need your help. 41st on the podcast rankings is not going to get us a lot of love from the advertisers. So
we're first in our section.
The Poker News people will make fun of us. Again.
Exactly. We'll get the piss taken.
I'm pretty sure we're still ahead of them in certain rankings.
They're below 41st?
I don't know.
Thank God.
Well, it depends. I didn't see what you're looking at, actually. I'm just making
Anyway,
up.
What we need from the listeners is people to go and give reviews, please. Even if you think we suck, go ahead and give a review and get us bumped us up in that poker podcast ranking. Please help out. All right. Also, one last thing I wanted to talk about was the annual toy drive for kids on 2+2. Billy Vogel, poker player, we've had him on in years past. He's once again raising money for Toys for Kids at Christmas. Last year they raised $8,000, or a little over $8,000. The money gets spent between the Children's Hospital and purchasing toys to help children in need that give them a better holiday. If you want to help out, please do. Even $5-10 donation would go a long way. The address is toysforkidsblog.wordpress.com. That's toysforkidsblog.wordpress.com. So if you want to help out, make a kid's Christmas a little bit extra special, head on over there and give a little deposit. That would be great. No Internet Poker's Wall of Fame this week. We're going to skip it. We got a ton of stuff to get to. We generally try and have the person on that we're
feels like people
inducting.
want to induct Dani Stern this week.
Yeah.
if my Twitter feed is any indication,
right.
Dani Stern seems like the popular candidate.
That would be funny if we just kind of told him we were inducting him anyway. We're going to have Dani Stern on in a minute, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's going on around the PokerStars changes and the boycott as well. And we've got some emails to get to. We didn't get to all of them last week, so we're going to get to some of those and the regular segments. So without further ado, let's get into some In Case You Missed It.
How did he miss the open goal? 6x4, and he comes up 0. Oh, no!
Oh, yes! He missed it!
He's missed it! How on earth did he miss that?
In case you missed it, there was a sit-out, a boycott of PokerStars that started in the Gypsy Poker forums on the Russian poker site, and it transferred over to 2+2, where over 2,500 players signed up to sit out of PokerStars from December 1st to December 3rd to protest the VIP changes that we've been talking about that came down. And joining us now to discuss more about that is the man that has also been at the forefront of this, Mr. Dani Stern. Dani, welcome back to the show.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
This is your first podcast, right?
No, definitely not.
First time talking about this particular topic.
Yeah, exactly. Now, just giving you a hard time. It seems like you've been getting the word out and talking a lot about this, and that's really great to spur all that discussion. As I said, 2,500 players did sign up. Give us an idea of how the sit-out is going from that perspective, Donnie.
Yeah, some number around a little over 2,500 signed up, so you can figure with, some margin for error given, like the players who had signed up and then didn't follow through and things like that. I think 2,500 is like a fair number.
Yeah.
It coincided with one of like the milestone promotions,
right?
Which obviously hurt the value of the strike in terms of seeing numbers. But I don't know. I read one article that said that the promotion was like half as successful as it was last time they ran it. I'm not going to pretend to like take credit for that from the strike, but it's just we said from the very beginning that obviously 2,500 players is not going to sink the company or something like that overnight. So. In terms of what the strike accomplished, I mean, it was always going to be just sort of like a first step and almost like a test to see how much support we can garner. And also, in the process of trying to get people to sign up for the strike, we made a lot of people very aware of the issues and very aware of what we think Stars did that was very wrong.
So it's interesting, right? Because, Stars has all the data. So if you, let's say 2,500 high volume players sit out, yes, it doesn't look like on this side of the equation that, or I'm not saying it does, I'm just saying if it doesn't, but Stars still has that data that if all those players do follow through and sit out, they're still going to have a big impact on sort of the rake generated by those players, right? So there, even though maybe it's not apparent to everybody who's looking at Poker Scout or whatever, Stars still has the data on the back end that tells them that a lot of these players, there's a sort of a group of players that are exercising their power, right?
Yeah, and again, like you said, a lot of them are really high volume players who would have paid a lot in rake those days. It's like you said, I don't have the data that they have. I don't have the ability to make projections based on like who set out what the games would have looked like if they hadn't. So I'm not gonna, I'm gonna stick to the topics that I feel like I have a lot of substantive things to say about. So we're gonna probably work on some other things to do and other ways to try to make a change. And there's a lot going on behind the scenes that I hope will be effective, but time will tell.
You're sounding like Daniel in there, alluding to behind the scenes things that people don't necessarily know about.
I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like that.
I'm just giving you a hard time about that. But because it was obviously funny for those who don't understand my reference. There was a lot of back and forth between Donnie, Joe Ingram, and Daniel Negreanu, and Daniel was alluding to a lot of things that are supposedly designed to help recreational players in the coming year, and his point of view was that they're not simply just taking from the pros and not giving anything back, and there's stuff coming for recreational players. I wanted to ask you, Donnie, of course, 2,500 players, you'd mentioned you knew from the beginning, like, this wasn't going to rattle them or shake them to their core or something like that, but it was just sort of a start. Are you happy with that number? Do you wish it were more? Is it better than you expected? What were your if I'd told you 7 days ago you're going to get about 2,500, looks like, plus or minus some variance, what would your reaction have been?
I'd say that's a decent amount. I wouldn't be upset with it. I think it's a fine. I can't remember anything like this happening in the past on Stars. I mean, it's really hard to get poker players to agree on anything. So in that sense, I had no idea if it would be possible at all. So I'm happy that I got the Russians and myself and everybody else who was promoting it got a decent amount of support behind it. And again, there's there were a lot of people who said, I support what you guys are doing in the strike, but I have 200,000 VPPs to make before the end of the year. I just can't do it.
Right.
And I have mixed feelings about that. Obviously, it's on the one hand they say they support it, but they're not going to participate it. But then they'll be able to reap the benefits after if anything good happens. But on the other hand, I'm doing a lot of this in support of my fellow poker player because I want them all to be able to play poker longer and be able to do keep playing this game. And fundamentally, somebody who's hitting a milestone to pay the bills or feed his family or whatever, do what I think everybody wants to do.
Yeah,
in all
you're not a
this.
Supernova Elite yourself, are you, anymore? You used to be a Supernova Elite. You no longer are. So the changes,
Correct.
Actually, these ones don't directly affect you, or at least the big topic of the Supernova Elite
one, yeah.
aren't
Correct.
affecting you directly. Okay.
Correct. Although, I mean, yeah, they do affect supernovas, though. Though the difference is not as bad as the change to supernova elites.
Donnie, there seems to be this, and I just want to, I don't want to have to take PokerStar's side all the, in the whole discussion, but I'm just going to probably, for sake of argument, present their side of it, or the side of it that they seem to be making with these changes. And one of the things I wanted to get your opinion on was this discussion that, if deposits are all sort of in a barrel, and these high volume players that Stars is making it clear that they aren't going to cater to them as they did in the past, if the high volume players are the people taking money out of this sort of deposit barrel and not depositing any money into it and taking money out of their net negative on the economy, why should Stars cater to these people anymore? And if we spend all that money that we were catering to, spending on VIP rewards, etc., on bringing more people or bringing the deposits up, then naturally these players are going to be able to reap the rewards of that.
Yeah, well, I think it's a complicated question, obviously. And first of all, on the one hand, I want to say I'm not against PokerStars altering their reward system and switching it to a system where the low volume players are rewarded more than the high volume players, in a way to reward the depositing players and not reward the winning players. I've never said I was against that, and a lot of people who are I've seen an entire article written explaining why I'm wrong because of what you just said. It's I never said that I never disagreed with that necessarily. But I do think that PokerStars should honor their agreements that they made with Supernova Elite players. That's the main grievance with this, is that I think that they were advertising for 10 months on the year what the benefits of Supernova Elite were, and then on November 3rd or whatever, they changed what the benefits were after players had already committed to getting Supernova Elite or had put a whole bunch of energy into it and were basically told after the fact that the benefits were no longer what they thought they were. And I think that's extremely wrong. And I think that's worth rioting over, basically. As far as how do you structure your reward system in a more positive way that maybe the system right now is not the best for sustainability long term. I don't have like the full set of data that they have to analyze that, so I'm not gonna say it definitively one way or the other. But I do think that just completely slashing Supernova Elite benefits will have some negative consequences on certain games that maybe people aren't considering. I mean, the fact is there are a lot of games that run, at least at the I don't know at low stakes I can't see what's happening at low stakes in the same way I see it at high stakes, or at games that like my friends play at like sit and goes and stuff that even I don't play. But there's an enormous amount of like regular versus regular action that slashing elite benefits or slashing Supernova benefits like directly attacks basically and directly or makes those games much less likely to happen and takes away rewards from them. So I do think that there's like room for and to be clear, I think that regular versus regular games or net withdrawal players versus net withdrawal players are specifically games that benefit the site, right? Because if the argument is that only the net depositors are bringing value, it's like, well, what about when two pros are playing each other heads up? That's strictly value for the site, right? Those are two players who withdraw money from the site and they're playing each other.
Right, I think there's a good differentiation to be made because, I mean, I think a lot of the time we like to model and simplify the poker economy down to these people are fish and these people are pros and money siphons from fish to pros, when in reality there are different scale of pros. A lot of the times a pro at a certain stake or at a certain game will actually be a fish in another game. Is that kind of part of what you're trying to say here?
That's definitely the case. I think it's obvious there's a lot of there's a lot of places in the game where the line between fish and pro or amateur and pro is a little bit more blurred than people would realize. And like I said, I think that there's like tons of room for a clever restructuring of the VIP system that maybe they think is not viable, not doable, or maybe I don't know. I mean, but like I have like various ideas on like things that they could do that would be a little bit more of like a scalpel and not a hatchet, like one idea I wrote in 2+2 is, if the current problem, and this is, they certainly, they're saying that these two issues are the same, or are related. They're saying that part of the VIP system right now is, and the current climate of online poker is that it promotes like predatory behavior of pros, right? Basically, and that's bad. It creates a bad environment for the amateur player who no longer wants to play anymore because the environment's too predatory, right? So, what about doing something like this? That I don't know why. I don't know if this is like a crazy idea, but why not have for, let's say, a 6-handed cash game table where there's 2 to 5 players playing, so there's at least one empty seat. Players get, let's say, 1.5x VPPs that they normally would get, okay, like some sort of multiplier. And then if the game fills, presumably when there's a recreational player at the table, they get 0.5 times as many VPPs, because that's a game that's going to run regardless. So there's no reason to reward people for playing in a game that'll run regardless, right? You're rewarding them for the game that doesn't necessarily have to run, so you're promoting action, and that's like I think maybe a slightly more, maybe not advanced, but a little bit more of like a clever way to alter the action. Or something like in the case of like a sit and go, what if like 6 players sign up for a 6-handed sit and go and they're all Supernova elites? That would seem like a good time to give them some extra benefits.
Right.
Or even if they're all like Supernova or something like that. I don't know what level the amateurs are likely to be in those games. Probably the amateurs are still probably Supernova in those games. But so I don't know. I think there's just like room for doing things like that, and they don't necessarily need to just like cancel the entire thing. But whatever. Even if listen, I've said this like a million times. If PokerStars had announced these changes on January 1st, 2015, I would not have said anything basically, Because even though I would have said maybe this isn't the best idea, it's totally within their right to do this. You know, it's not like ethically wrong for them to do this.
It would be a business issue instead of an ethical issue, and people can have differences of opinion on that sort of thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And to be clear, I think we've made it clear on this show. Both Terrence and I totally agree with you on the Supernova Elite thing. I think Stars should be honoring what they advertised for the Supernova Elites in 2016. I'm shocked that they're not doing that. You know, as far as the percentages go, we're going from 70% to 40. Is it 45%? Right?
It's 45. Yeah, capped at 45.
Capped at 45 in 2016 and 2017. I believe is 30. Is that right?
And then, going forward after that, 2017, there will be no more Supernova Elite, and Supernova benefits will be capped at 30%, which is also a reduction, because Supernova can be as high as, like, 40 or 45 or something. I'm not sure exactly, but basically, like, if you had, like, 999,000 VPPs or something,
right,
it would be some higher number.
But the important thing there, too, is that these aren't going to be earned at high stakes anymore. And I guess one of the problems that I have with the change, or the structure of the changes, like, I understand that the changes need to be done. We've said this. And the poker economy has certainly changed in the last few years. So it's not surprising to anybody that changes are coming. It's the way that they're done, I guess, is the issue for a lot of people. But the way that they're doing the high stakes changes bother me a little bit, in that when you pick a level for a certain game like 5-10 plus, or if you're playing limit 10-20 or more, that has such a huge effect on the first level of where you still earn rewards. Like, you know, if you just, instead of changing the entire system and making it sort of consistent throughout, when you pick a level to offer VPPs and one not to offer VPPs, I think you change that that level where
it funnels everybody to that specific limit, and the highest limit where you still get,
and you create a new problem. In my opinion, it seems like I don't know if that's going to happen, or we'll see, I guess. But that's one of my problems too, Donnie. I wanted to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, it certainly seems like what's going to happen is higher stakes players are going to move down, and that'll make the games tougher at mid stakes. And then some of the mid stakes players who can't beat mid stakes anymore will move down to low stakes, making the low stakes games tougher. And as far as I can tell, that'll make the recreational players' experience even worse. From whatever entry point they start, they're going to experience even better pros now. So, I mean, and I'm not, I can't be certain that that's going to happen, but that seems like what will happen. It seems logical. So I'm not entirely sure if taking away high stakes VPPs will benefit them in any way. The justification that they have for taking away high stakes VPPs, at least in terms of PR, the way that they phrased it, is that there's a high cost of transaction for running high stakes
transaction fees for withdrawing that money and depositing it.
Yeah, I guess. Which is just kind of like a bizarre way to just, like, out of nowhere, this just happened. Like in 2015, they just decided that they could no longer do that, and they have to just cut all VPPs. I think, first of all, fundamentally, if they had just increased the rake, like some small but reasonable amount at high stakes, I don't think high stakes players would have been so outraged, because the rake at high stakes is basically reasonable, So if it had gone up by some small percentage as a way of compensating for the extra transaction costs or something like that, I think that's basically a within, maybe I wouldn't agree with it, obviously. I mean, nobody wants to pay more rake, but, it would be within reason. And like you said, Terrence, like that'd be like a business decision, not necessarily like something worth riding over. But also, like I think
the rake has actually been increased in the past. I know the rake at the highest stakes games is now $5, and I'm almost certain that at some point it was.
Well, they raised it and then they backed off, right? There was
no. Like right now, still it's a $5 rake at the nosebleeds. So
no, Terrence is right. It went up in like 2013, I think, or maybe something like that. They increased the rake at 50, 100, and up. from like it used to be. It used to be 50 cents a dollar at heads up, or 50 cents, capped at 50 cents at heads up, and then it went up to $2, I think, at 50, 100, maybe even higher, 100, 200, and then at 100, 200, and then 50, 100 for 600 games, it's up to $5 now, which it didn't.
And that's the same for limit games above 100, 200, which is the only reason why I know this. I remember this. So it's not like rake increases themselves are unprecedented, but for some reason, like a reduction in VIP benefits is kind of fundamentally the same as a rake increase in some sense if you're exclusively a high stakes player, right? But it certainly has a different feel to it in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely sure what is felt by everyone or what is felt by the recreational players, but on a fundamental level, I think the idea of a VIP club is kind of good for Action because it has like these milestones that you can hit that. Even if it's
you said yourself, you had people not participating in the boycott because they want to hit their milestones and they want to hit their levels. For
and that's an extreme example because those are people who are chasing the last Supernova Elite milestone. A lot of them, which is worth $20,000. But even just like you're an amateur player or something, and you have 98,000 VPPs, and if you get 2,000 more, you're going to get $2,600, and you're going to reach Supernova level. Like, it's a pretty common thing, in like, if you think about in like gaming, to have these like sort of like incremental, like where you play like a certain amount of games of whatever, Call of Duty or something, and then you reach like a higher rank, and like this is like a common thing to just like make people like play a little bit more, and I think
their steps program that they're bringing in, I think, goes to that, right?
Yeah, but not if you're playing 5-10 plus,
right?
And so I don't know maybe if that would affect an amateur's likelihood to play or not. But I just think it's like in general like kind of a nice thing to have in the client, just like a little bar that moves forward as you play more. Maybe some people just completely ignore it, maybe not. I mean, I'm not certain about that at all. But put it this way, the entire site, the entire player pool gets to participate in the VIP club except 5-10 plus cash games, and that just seems like a strange exclusion and like a just like singling out like very specific players.
It seems like they're saying that the rewards program is valued by the relative value that those players put on it is much smaller at the higher stakes than guys who are playing 50 cent a dollar who grind away to get the next level and bonus, etc. So now I don't know if that's right, but that's their opinion, it seems like, and I guess we're going to find out, right? Because if it does, people are going to walk. If that is important to them, they're not going to stay and play. If it isn't, then they will continue to play. I mean, and the other thing is it's a really big risk by Stars, I think, because they're changing their economy on such a fundamental level that they have a lot of data, of course, more than anybody, that they can point to and say, well, we've done this in the past, and this is how people have reacted, or they have data analysts who pore over it, and people who are geniuses can run it through models and stuff and say, oh, this is going to happen, but they don't know what's going to happen, right? I mean, it's a risk on some fundamental level that their business is changing to this degree.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things about it is like, what is the value of like what is like aspirational value in poker? What is the present? What is the value of like the presence of like poker icons? And people who win at high stakes, and just like the presence of high stakes games running. Does the average 1-2 grinder see that 10-20 games are running, and does that make him play more because he wants to reach that higher level? Does the average amateur player playing 1-2 see 10-20 running or 50-100, 25-50 running, and look at the players and does that make him want to play more poker? I mean, fundamentally you would think the answer is yes, based on how all of the poker industry acts towards high stakes pros. There is like a certain reverence or whatever to the high stakes games, and if that's not based on the idea that people want to aspire to get to that level, then I don't really know why it exists otherwise.
Yeah,
and that's obviously not something you can you can't model that or calculate it, because how the hell do you know what percentage that influences people, and how does the removal of those games, how is that going to change the that idea? Who the hell knows?
Yeah, on sort of a personal note, I mean, I think I've told the story in the books, on the show before of, when I used to play 4-8 at the Bellagio and look up at the high section and be like, one day I'll be there and that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of people who listen to the show, a lot of pros, have a similar kind of story to that. So
but that's assuming that the games aren't going to run, right? T, right? And Donnie, I think you guys,
of course. We may be looking at we can speculate on this, but we may be looking at a poker landscape down the road where 5-10 games above 5-10 no limit don't even exist on the internet.
Is that a realistic one? Like, certainly some people aren't going to want to play and continue, but clearly there's some people that don't care about VIPs or VIP points, and they're still going to play high limits. So is there 10 people to look up to, or if there's 5 people to look up to? I don't know what the difference is, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting. Donnie, I want to jump away a little bit specifically from the VIP club changes. Of course, the other thing that they sort of rolled into this changes was the changes to the HUDs and the scripting, just sort of really starting to clamp down on all this kind of stuff that's perceived as very pro-friendly and perceived as very amateur unfriendly. We've even had people write into the show talk about how intimidated they are. There are recreational players who are intimidated by the fact that a table will fill up instantly, and it's obvious that they're using some sort of scripting and HUDs. Do you have opinions on those changes, positive or negative, that Stars is making in those regards?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, a lot of people, because these announcements were rolled out at the same time, and then there was player outrage, a lot of people misunderstood the player outrage and thought it was related to the HUDs and scripts.
Right.
And that's just not the case. It's absolutely not the case. And I guess it was a clever move by the Stars PR to make it seem like we were just being babies about it, and we wanted our tools or whatever. But that's just not what this is about. Regarding HUDs and scripts, okay. So two separate issues. First of all, scripts, seating scripts. I mean, most pros, certainly most pros that I interact with and I see posting on 2+2, have been begging Stars to do something about scripts for years. Okay. I mean, when I first saw it, my initial reaction was, when I first realized what they were and what was happening, my initial reaction, I think is the reaction that most pros probably have who see that, is, holy shit, this is terrible. This amateur player sits down and in under 2 seconds, the entire game is full with everyone's buy-in already there, and there's already a blind being posted. That looks terrible. It looks like they're actually playing against one robot team of pros or something.
Right.
And it looks horrible, and it you can say it adds an unfair edge to the pros or the scripts, but the problem is with that argument is that PokerStars has explicitly allowed scripts for this entire time. So it's not even unfair, because they basically said, yes, scripts are fair game. And I went to a meeting with pros and PokerStars in January of this year with the specific mandate of eliminating seating scripts.
What was the reaction? What reaction did you get from that?
From who? From PokerStars?
From Stars, yeah.
Well, they called the meeting. They were somebody at PokerStars was leading the charge or whatever, leading the movement from inside the company to try to figure out how to eliminate them. And they called a meeting with some pros who had pros that they deemed had something of value or interesting to say on the topic, and we basically sat in a conference room for 3 days strategizing on ways and bouncing ideas back and forth, where they would basically pitch us some sort of technical idea and say, how do you think the players will react to this? What will happen if you do this? Let's say you tweak this rule so that something happens, and then they asked us, and then we as pros were basically no, you can't do that, because the bum hunting scripters will do this to get around it or whatever, because we're we're playing the games, and we really see how people react and what sort of issues will come. A lot of time you come up with a solution that you think works in this sort of situation, and no matter what, there's always going to be somebody who tries to game the system somehow and figure out a way around it and figure out a way to gain an edge from it, right? So a lot of time they would come up with a solution or an idea, and we would basically, our job would be to try to figure out how can you exploit that idea, and how could a player get around it in order to profit, basically. And then we would come up with an idea, the players would come up with an idea of like a way to get around or to avoid using scripts. And then they would usually have like their technical people there be like, no, because it's software wise, you can't do this. It won't work. Things like that. And so basically for 3 days we brainstormed and eventually came up with a solution. And I'm not going to say it's not being used, because maybe that's one of the things they're rolling out for 2016. But it so far hasn't been used.
So the one of the things that PokerStars is talking about is, when we talk about changing the economy, is next year in 2016, bringing in a whole bunch of different promotions to bring new players in and have people deposit. So if at the end of the day, high volume players all of a sudden find themselves in much more lucrative games. Is that the same thing as getting VIP rewards for Supernova Elite, etc., or if they win the money in better games? That seems to be the PokerStars side of it.
Or I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Are you asking?
I guess the argument, the argument, the devil's advocate argument is, pros shouldn't care where the money comes from. If we make the game, we being PokerStars, make the games better, then the pros will make money. They'll just make it from the games being
fashion.
Good instead of from the VIP club.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, I mean, of course, I'd rather play in a game with an extra amateur player rather than make an extra point whatever percent on or whatever percent rake back. And I think that probably represents a more healthy atmosphere when you have more new players playing, obviously. So yeah, of course, I would rather have that. And like I said, I'm fully in agreement that PokerStars has the right and ought to tweak the environment in a way that they see fit for sustainability and longevity of the games.
Is that the mandate for the sit out then, do you think? The sort of what the people who are sitting out are calling for, like the fact that they're going to follow through on moving this money to the recreational players to make the games better, or else we're going to do further stuff.
What's the end game? Like, what would sort of make what would make you happy in this regard? I mean, obviously, I think the restoration of the Supernova Elite benefits,
right, and we all agree
is
that
probably the primary point, I guess. But what would, in your mind, make this a success? The protest a success?
I mean, yeah, fundamentally, getting back 2016 benefits for Supernova and Supernova Elites would be like, I'd be pretty happy to see that happen. Certainly getting back VPPs for high stakes, I'd be happy to see that happen. And those are actually kind of intertwined if you think about it, because somebody who got Supernova Elite in 2015 playing 510 no limit or 510 PLO or higher, but then can't make any VPPs next year, is getting a VIP or VPP cut of worth $120,000. Being told about it in November, I think that's pretty messed up. So even if the Elite came back, I think that's kind of messed up. But that's also complicates the question. So certainly getting back those things would be I'd be very happy about. And then going forward, realistically, I don't think we can expect them not to go through these changes, at least for 2017, if they feel like this is what they have to do. But thing is, like to be clear, like I said, I'm fully in support of PokerStars' right to alter the economy in the way and the reward system in the way that they see fit. But like what we're arguing also is that like they haven't announced any benefits to low stakes or to amateur players. They've just literally slashed benefits everywhere.
Right, and Daniel said that he's alluded to the fact that he knows what's coming down the pipe and that kind of thing. But the other thing that I worry about, and I mentioned this to Matthew when we talked to him about it before, was if all the directives by Stars pay off, and they get a whole bunch of new players in at lower levels. And you look at some of those lower levels, and they're kind of a rake trap. Like some of them at the lower levels, the rake's pretty high. So you get all these new players in, and then instead of them moving up the stakes and generating this or changing the poker economy, you have them getting burnt out pretty quick on the rake in sort of a rake trap in some of the different games like PLO and etc. I know at the lower rake is the lower stakes is pretty high rake. So I hope that they can look at that as they go forward, and if all these things work, and kind of analyze exactly how these new players are doing.
Yeah, it seems like if the issue is sustainability, that the low stake or especially micro stakes experience is basically horrifying for a new player because nobody can win. It's just like impossible to win at it. So in that regard, I'm not really sure. Now I don't know what it costs to run these low stakes games, and if you can even make money off of a micro stakes game if you're not raking it astronomically high or whatever. I don't know, what player acquisition costs and all that, but it's not. It doesn't seem like at 10 cent 25 cent PLO, 18 big blind per 100 rake. That's a real number. 18 big blind per 100 rake at 10 25 cent PLO Zoom. That seems kind of insane. So I don't really know why they do that, basically.
Dani, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming on and talking about some of the things. If you have more things that you want to talk about, we can always bring you back in the future.
Oh, Dani, I have a question for you on a different topic.
Okay.
Sure.
So you were on Joey's podcast. It was like the third last appearance you did on there, where it wasn't about PokerStars.
Oh, the regular one. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're from Vancouver, but we're.
Oh, you got a bone to pick with them, don't you?
We're in Maple Ridge right now. That's why we did this over the interwebs. But okay. You said that you have not had any good sushi experiences in Vancouver.
Wow.
Good, yeah.
And
that is a statement.
And I would like to get an explanation of that, because
he must have been going to the worst sushi places in town.
I know that Dani has a much more refined palate when it comes to sushi than we do, because sushi's kind of like, for me, sushi's just kind of like a staple food.
It's like McDonald's.
Yeah, but I'd like to know the reason.
The reason why it sucks, or
yeah.
I don't know. Talk to your Vancouver sushi chefs. Tell them to pick up the fucking slack.
Really?
Wow.
Where have you gone? Okay, can you name a specific place where you've gone and just like, we can be like the anti-Yelp here.
This is going to be like yeah.
Okay. There's like the slightly fancier places like Miku and Minami.
Minami, yeah.
And those are both kind of they're okay. They're fine, but they're also like way overpriced for what the quality is, and they're nothing special.
Overpriced? Go have sushi in LA. That's overpriced.
LA has tons of casual sushi spots though that are better than any of the casual sushi spots here.
Really?
Yeah. Have you been to?
No, I've been to a few in LA that I don't remember.
Well, no, in Vancouver. There's the best casual sushi place I've been to in Vancouver is probably Kaide.
I agree.
Yeah,
yep,
that one's.
I love going.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. But that's like basically like the best I've had, and I don't think it's like even better than, let's say, somewhere like Yonaka in Vegas. I don't know if you guys have been there, but that's just like a pretty casual place in Vegas. That's like basically the same price and like significantly better. And Vegas is in the desert, and Vancouver is on the coast and has
that's what I'm saying. When
Japan.
You say it's poor quality, you're talking about assembly, craftsmanship, fish quality? What are we talking about here?
They don't seem to get the best fish. I don't know why that is. Maybe there's not a market for it, but there doesn't seem to be the obsession with getting like the ultra high quality, toro and uni and all the. And especially
it's
any
hard
of the
to
more,
get that at a reasonable price point, I think, regardless of where you.
I don't know. In Vegas, you get like you get incredibly good Japanese fish in Vegas, and Vegas has great sushi.
We're off the rails here, but I definitely want to quickly ask you, because I watched the documentary Jiro Dreams of Sushi, and I understand you went there.
Yes.
And I want to get as quick as you can, because I would love to go. I love sushi as well. I can only imagine how good that experience was.
It was extremely good. The food was amazing, and it was a great culinary experience. But it was also just amazing to see him and be there after seeing the movie. I was very starstruck. Celebrity struck, which I'm not. I don't think I ever have been before, even when seeing professional athletes and stuff.
Did he serve you, or was it his son?
His son was serving us.
Oh,
they tend to put the Western customers with the son because he speaks a little bit of English, and Jiro speaks literally not a word of English, apparently. So they that's usually the strategy. But he was right there, no, it was really incredible. The food was amazing, and it was a really cool experience. You walk in, there's 7 seats in the entire restaurant.
Yeah.
They sit you down, and it's so fast. The entire there is no waiting at all. They sit you down. They immediately give you the only non-piece of sushi of the meal. It's just this tiny little piece of pickled some sort of pickled greens, just to start you off.
Yeah.
And they ask you do you have any allergies? No. Do you eat everything? Yes. Do you want something to drink? Yeah. Can we have sake? They don't bring you sake, man. They just bring you sake. And then that's it. They just start, and they show you the menu of what you're going to eat, and it's 18 pieces, and then that's it. They just bring it out one by one, and it's just super fast, and it's extremely good.
Oh man, so jealous. Hopefully,
we'll agree to disagree on Vancouver sushi, but we'll agree on the Supernova benefits for 2016.
Supernova, yeah, indeed.
We'll call it even on that one.
If I can get PokerStars to agree to those same terms, I would be very happy.
That'd be good. Yeah, Donnie, if there's more coming up, I know you mentioned there's some stuff going on. Let us know, and we'll love to talk about it with you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Talk to you later.
All right.
Thanks, Donnie, for joining us, bringing us up to speed on what's going on with the sit-out. We'll have more on that, I guess, next week, and see how everything went. More in case you missed it. We'll get through a bunch of that. That went fairly long because we had a lot to talk to. So we've got a few things that have happened over the last couple of weeks we'll get caught up on. In case you missed it, Phil Ivey is losing his ass on Line T. He's down, I think, over $3 million this year. Still the biggest winner all time online, but I think it's been a while since he had a winning year. His Raise Once account on Stars is getting hammered pretty good. I wonder, he's been playing in Macau in the high stakes games, and maybe not as much online as he used to when he was at Full Tilt, and he could snap his fingers and get $3 million deposited into his account. Maybe it's not quite as easy when you got to, spend the time depositing that kind of money or grinding it up, etc. But also the game's changed, right? It's been a few years now since he spent a lot of time. I wonder if the online game sort of has passed him by, or the people that play against him.
Definitely. it's hard to think of really very many players. You can pretty much count them on one hand that have survived been at the top of the hill in high stakes online, no limit hold'em. This is why we induct people in the Internet Poker's Wall of Fame, and then half of the time the question is, well, I wonder where that guy's up to, because it's very hard to stay on top for a long time. It's funny because the game is always being explored. We talk about new strategies and all this kind of stuff, and he hasn't played a lot, like you said. I think maybe also a lot of, you sort of alluded to this, his ability to get money online on Full Tilt. I actually think that was a really big advantage for him back in the day, sort of knowing that it was sort of impossible for him to go broke online. And it's not to say that he was, being unethical or playing with some of that bad money that was endemic to Full Tilt. But it was just sort of that psychological backing of that he had a big advantage of the fact that, he could play, whatever, 200, 400 no limit with effectively, like, say, 20 million behind, as opposed to somebody who might be playing with, 500,000 or a million behind. I mean, you just have a very big psychological edge. You can push all your small edges, and you can just feel so much more confident. And coupling that with the fact that he has such a brilliant mind for the game, I think it really helped him smash back in those days. And like you said, maybe the ability, now he's got to, think about managing his bankroll and stuff like that. And these aren't, things like managing bankrolls aren't really Phil Ivey concepts.
Yeah,
right. These aren't in the Phil Ivey strategy guide.
Well, a couple months ago, he took on Ben 86 for a few nights. So, like, I think Ben said in a podcast that he thinks Ivey was just doing that for a lesson, basically, because
he's playing in way bigger
making
games.
so much money in Macau. So maybe he just doesn't really care. I don't know. Maybe he's just playing for fun.
Yeah. He's just a whale. Give that man some VIP benefits, so he can lose some more money online.
Speaking of Ivey, he was granted the ability to appeal the decision that was made in an English court last year against Crockford's Casino. Everybody will remember back. He won $12 million playing over a couple of days playing Punto Banco, which is basically the same as Baccarat.
That's nasty.
He is edge sorting. The casino decided not to pay him. I can't remember exactly the terms of why he didn't have the cash. Like, if you're playing, I don't remember exactly how it went down to you, but if you're playing, you get chips. Presumably, you can walk up and cash them out. I guess the amount was just too high for him to be able to get 12 million in pounds.
Like,
they're going to be like, we're going to send you a
notes,
check.
Please.
Yeah. So anyway, they decided not to pay him, and he lost his original court challenge to that non-payment. And was told that he, I guess, was being unethical by the judge. He got. It's difficult, I think, in England, from what I read, to be granted an appeal on some of these decisions. It's not like here or in North America where you can snap appeal everything and it has to be heard. I think a judge has to decide if
is it different. Like, I mean, I don't know anything about.
I think there's a higher standard.
Our legal system is based off the English legal system, isn't it?
Somewhat, yeah, structured similar, but you don't automatically get the right to appeal, I guess is what I read. And the judge did grant him the ability to appeal the fact that he did lose that case, and I think the judge even said something along the lines of, you have a real prospect of success. So, again, we've been through it, but if the casino is going to offer him the games and he did nothing wrong, clearly in our eyes, or in my eyes anyway, and I think most people's eyes that gamble, that he should be getting that money.
Yeah, well, I mean, the issue is that obviously the judges don't really understand, they don't exist in the world that we live in, so they don't necessarily know the difference between, edge sorting or marked cards, right, or doing the kind of stuff. I mean, I think if you gamble for a living, or if you kind of gamble at all, you sort of understand these more intrinsic ethical ideas that, most of the time, I challenge you to even find like 10% of people who think that Phil Ivey was doing something very wrong, right, with identifying imperfect markings on cards. Like, some of the stuff is maybe questionable, like requesting for specific decks and having, this random Asian lady next to him is saying like, oh, I feel lucky, and doing all this stuff is like kind of over. But I think most poker players even think that's just sort of clever, more than unethical or deceitful or something, because he didn't put the marks there, and I think to people like you and I, that's what the real distinction is.
Right.
Yeah. He didn't put the marks there. They had a poor card manufacturer, and he took advantage of the house, which I think in our world is also different from taking advantage of other players, right? So if, we've talked about the Modiano cards at the World Series of Poker, and that distinction, and whether people were gaining an unfair advantage based on the flaws in the Modiano cards and how easily those are marked. But it always definitely, whether it is or not, feels different when it's against the house, right?
Yeah, if they're going to base a business around, providing a game for you to come and play in,
with a built-in edge,
with a built-in edge,
like every casino game has,
that they're trying to exploit, then I feel you have every right to exploit any mistakes that they make. They're negligent in providing bad cards, and that's their problem. In case you missed it, Tony Bet. This is the poker site run by Mr. Tony G, of course, back with Poker News owner, and he's now
we are very unprofessional.
Member of the European. What's that? Tony G's Unprofessional?
It's the Poker News
no,
podcast.
Poker News.
Oh, the podcast. Oh,
it's been so long since we played that drop.
It's been like an hour. Anyway, so at the Tony Bet games, he's offering rake-free No Limit Hold'em and PLO, and this is 6 max No Limit Hold'em PLO games, 1 cent, 2 cent, up to 25 cent, 50 cent. They're currently rake-free. And the website apparently plans to expand the rake-free cash games as well as multi-table tournaments and sit-and-goes. It's an interesting thing. Like, the rake is now all of a sudden a point of discussion. 888, I believe, also has done this, lowered their rake to attract people who are sitting out at PokerStars or actually paying attention. And it seems like all of this VIP stuff has brought the awareness of rake more forward in poker players' minds. So some of the other sites are trying to take advantage of this and offer these games. Now, you know, we've never really been able to sustain a rake-free site concept, right? That's never been something that's been
people
able.
have tried.
I
mean, people have tried subscription-based poker sites and stuff like that. The problem has always been like, well, who's interested in playing on rake-free sites? Good players. And then,
so you bring that's who you
play
attract.
against good players. You know?
Yeah. But interesting that Tony Bet is trying it, and I wonder if...
well, it's a publicity stunt. I mean, let's not pretend that it's anything else. But, I mean, I think it certainly could be an effective one. It certainly creates or helps create liquidity at these, like, microstage, which is what you want. You want people...
that's it, right? That's the part I love about this. Maybe it is a publicity stunt, but when you do this at microstakes... and you make rake-free. So if people's entry point are those microstakes, they come in now. Not everybody's point of entry is going to be that small, 5 cent, 10 cent. People are going to jump in and play 1, 2, whatever. But if you build that base up and to a point, and if they're in rake-free games, there are going to be a lot more people who are winners. They're confident about their game. Oh, I beat this level. Because they're not being raked, I can move up and move up and move up. And they, get more exposure, get more play, become better players, etc.
Well, yeah, even long before they become winning players. I mean, just the fact that you're getting people to download your software, capturing their personal information, getting their email and their contact information, being this is valuable business stuff. Just basically getting people used to your platform, your product, your brand. Gets potentially a customer for life. It's a really, it's a relatively cheaper user acquisition model than, especially when you're talking about like 1 cent, 2 cent, because I mean, how much rake are you going to collect on 1 cent, 2 cent no limit games anyway?
Yeah.
So if you can collect a lifetime player for and sacrifice like a dozen people's 1 cent, 2 cent rake for life who are never going to move up, then that's certainly worth it if you get like one real player out of it in the long run.
Indeed. In case you missed it, Jamie Staples, the online pro for PokerStars Team Online, not last weekend, but this is from a couple weeks ago. He went deep in the Sunday warm-up that he was broadcasting on Twitch. Ended up finishing 5th for $22,000. He set a personal record. Had 13,500 concurrent viewers, which is pretty darn impressive. I mean, it's cool.
Did he get the front page Twitch?
Well, I think he must have with that kind of number, right?
I don't know if he did.
It seems like he would with that huge concurrent viewer number. Maybe he didn't, but either way, just a fantastic thing for poker, for Jamie, for everybody involved to get that, drive that kind of viewership to him playing in a poker tournament, right? I mean,
you can come to our website and you can watch some of these poker players do their Twitch stuff.
That's exactly. He sold off 30% of himself online. That I guess he does occasionally to spur the viewership and make it more of a team sort of thing. But congratulations to Jamie Staples for the deep run a couple weeks back. Speaking of Twitch, Poker Central, that 24-hour streaming poker channel online we talked about a couple months back, they announced the statistics back from when they had the Super High Roller Cash Game live on Twitch last summer. You'll remember the big $500,000 buy-in tournament. Well, they also had the cash game that we talked about. And they had I think it was a few days, maybe 4 or 5 days, they had 1.2 million unique views Poker Central did on their Twitch channel to watch those cash games. That's another staggering number where people will, I don't know how long they would have tuned in. That's a giant number. But again, just a huge viewership for something that's happening in live poker. I mean, I don't even know what the ESPN world, if the ESPN
I don't think they're
coverage
out yet, right?
gets
Those
that
numbers?
right. I mean, in years past, I'm saying like 1.2
Right.
million unique viewers is pretty amazing on a new platform like Twitch.
I've been wanting to see the produced episodes of that.
Yeah, and I think they're rebroadcasting them this month as well. So check on Poker Central if you want to check out some of that stuff. In case you missed it, Alex Jacob, ex-poker pro and options trader now, wins the 2015 Jeopardy Tournament of Champions. You'll remember last show when we were talking about it, he had won. He had won the semifinal, and he was going to the final. He ended up taking it down, crushing souls in the final. He had won day one, I think, is what happened when we were on our last show. He ended up coming back and winning day two.
You talked about the aggressive early doubling strategy, and I said it was obvious, but yeah, like obviously he wanted to build a huge lead early on day one,
and he did, and he came back, and there wasn't much excitement in the second episode. He was basically, and when they got down to Final Jeopardy, there was no catching him, and
had him drawing dead.
Which
during the Final Jeopardy. That's gotta feel good.
Probably doesn't make for good TV for them, but congratulations to Alex Jacob.
I think it does, because I mean, like, I think dominant figures, this isn't sports, but like sports it's always been like an exceptional narrative, whether it's like, Mike Tyson or Michael Jordan or that kind of thing. Like there's always some aspect of seeing somebody who's so far above the field that I think it does make things. I mean, obviously, like there's the opposite effect too, which is like the Sampras Agassi sort of dueling thing. But I mean, I think it sometimes maybe you underestimate like how. Yeah, like it doesn't make great TV in the sense like who's the drama of which guy are you pulling for, but I wouldn't be surprised if the producers didn't hate it.
Yeah, it was an impressive run, and people will definitely. I saw sort of a change on Twitter. I was you know how on TweetDeck you can set up a hashtag so you get a column. Well, I had all throughout of it. I had a Jeopardy hashtag, and people were hating. There's a lot of people hating on Alex, I guess, for being looking like geek or whatever. They were, what happens on Twitter is people call them names. But I really saw a change.
People are mean on Twitter.
Somebody's watching Jeopardy and then complaining that somebody looks like a geek.
Yeah, that's guess what? It's Jeopardy.
Yeah, I was like, what is the working definition? Somebody's watching Jeopardy and tweeting.
Yeah, by the way, you're a geek.
Is going to call somebody else geeky and nerdy.
But there was a change. Like as he was stomping everybody, it was like you said, Terrence. It was people that were saying, "Wow, this guy is impressive."
I didn't watch it, but I think the "What is a leave" thing helped either as well. I heard a lot of people reacting to him dropping the "What is a leave" on the Final Jeopardy.
Right.
That helped too. I think that won him some fans.
Indeed. All right, we are going to come back.
So
after
real
the break.
quick before you go, 1.15 people tuned in. 1.15
people
turned in. Well, yeah, 1.15 people. So one regular sized person, and one very small person, maybe a toddler.
Yeah.
1.15 million people watched the 2014 November 9. 1.23 million people watched the 2013 November 9.
Okay.
So we were just talking about
right?
that. So almost identical.
But that's on TV. This is Twitch. This new platform.
That is on just regular TV. No inner tubes required. Cable TV.
Yeah. For people like saying, Twitch is this subset of people, it's never going to really. It's huge. Like that is an amazing. If that, I don't have any reason to doubt their number.
We live in a world where like more people have. It seems like that more people I know have Netflix than actually have cable, right? Like
seems like
it. We live in a video streaming age these days. Like if you're in the telecom business and your job is still hooking up cables to people's TVs, I suggest you become aware of this phenomenon.
Indeed. Do you play live poker? If you do, you should be getting your butt over to crushlivepoker.com. This is our strategy sponsor of the show, run by our buddy Bart Hansen. Lots of really cool stuff on playing live poker, different tutorials, etc. A huge library there for you to go check out. It's not like when you start off with a site, a new training site, and there's 10, 15, 20 videos. Bart's been at it for years. There's tons and tons and tons of stuff.
That's what he's talking about.
He's
recently been doing a challenge where I don't know the exact specifics, but he's playing a ton of hours over the next couple months. So he's
putting in the time.
He's fresh. He's in there. He's really what's the word?
Dedicated.
He's in the trenches.
He's in the trenches. Gotcha. He's all right. So Bart's going to have a strategy minute for everybody out there. CrushLivePoker.com is his website. Head on over there. I believe there's a free trial too that you could sign up for. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that he does have some promotions, so check those out.
Code word will be in the second Crush Live Poker.
There you go. There it is. I'm not sure if it was still valid. I'm glad to hear it is. What is he talking about this week on our tip of the week?
This week, it is how to identify the
fishy
when you sit down.
If you can't find him in the first 10 minutes, it's you or whatever the old Rounders line is.
Yeah.
This is Crush Live Poker's
Rounders line. It's a super system line. Come on.
Oh, right. Yes. Good point. I automatically think of Matt Damon saying it right at the beginning of Rounders, but you're right. It's from Super System. CrushLivePoker.com. So have a listen to that. You're listening to the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. More right after this.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another 2+2 Strategy Minute brought to you by CrushLivePoker.com. I'm Bart Hansen, and today I want to talk about a technique to quickly characterize unknown players at the table. One of the easiest ways, I think, to, peg a player as good or bad or mediocre is actually paying attention to his pre-flop holdings. I mean, if you see a guy limp in with like Jack 4 suited from under the gun, I think that it's right to quickly infer that he is going to be a weak player. On the flip side, if you see somebody 3-bet with a hand like Ace-5, Ace-4 in position in an obvious squeeze spot, well, then you can take from that the guy probably knows what's going on. So it's really, really simple to not be intimidated by the fact that you don't know anyone. It just takes a little bit of paying attention for the first hour or so and take a look at the hands that people are playing pre-flop. Now let's get back to the Pokercast.
I defend 8-9 offsuit versus a middle position open with Annie's, 40 big blinds deep. I flop a double gutter on Queen 10-6 2 spades, and I like to check raise his c-bet as it's my worst possible draw in this situation, and his range contains more spades, thus making it a hand I'm going to free barrel on a lot of runouts. He folds to a check raise and I win the pot.
Team Pro Online's Mickey Memento Mori Peterson is a supernova VIP. This is the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
Hi guys, it's Mike from ProfessionalPoker.com and the 2+2 store with some great news for our PokerStars players. You can now use your frequent player points to purchase gift cards available from ProfessionalPoker.com. These same cards will also work at the 2+2 store. The gift cards come in increments of $25 and $50, and you can apply multiple gift cards per order. Now you could get the books, videos, and ebooks from all the major publishers using just your FPPs. So check out the gift card section of the PokerStars FPP store and pick up the poker training material you've had your eye on for a while at the 2+2 store and ProfessionalPoker.com.
Hey, poker fans, don't forget about the 2+2.com digital magazine. Each month, a wide array of poker professionals and media write fascinating articles about the game you love. Want to learn about big blind versus small blind hand ranges? How about optimal Jeopardy daily double strategy? Topics like those and many others are covered every month. Head on over to 2plus2.com to see what the magazine has to offer this month. Attention everyone not named Alan Kessler. Have someone you would love to appear on the Pokercast? Have someone you don't want to hear again on the Pokercast? Head on over to the Suggest a Guest thread in the Pokercast forum at 2plus2.com, and Adam will do his best to make you happy. P.S. Chainsaw, you can post too.
Hey guys, this is Bart Hansen for CrushLivePoker.com. Whether you're a recreational player who wants to compete at the tables, or you're a professional and you want to increase your win rate, the material that I've produced at CrushLivePoker.com will make you a better poker player. Act now and you can subscribe for free by using the coupon code TPC11. That's TPC for the Pokercast11 and get your first month free.
I thought the future would be cooler.
all lit up on LED. Next thing you know, you're sipping on a battery.
Welcome back to the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. We are trying to get a hold of our old buddy Patrick Parkinson. He's in Paris. We have his number, but it's late there. It's 1:30 in the morning. He might be in the pub still. And
I wasn't paying attention because I usually don't.
That's better right there. But we're going to continue to try and get him and have him on for a few minutes to chat. In the meantime, let's head over to the Isle of Man and talk to Mr. Matthew Hilger and bring him in right now. Matthew, welcome back to the PokerCast.
Thank you very much. How are you guys?
All good, all good. I imagine it's been a long week over at the Isle of Man. Lots going on, of course, with all the stuff that's gone down. Obviously, there's been a boycott. We talked about it earlier in the show a little bit, and there was a sit-out. 2,500 people, I guess, signed up for it, and just wanted to get your take on exactly what was happening there.
Well, obviously, we've been following it, following this in all the forums. Not only at 2+2, but the Russian poker community was very involved in this, and we're reading. We respect the rights of players to voice their opinions, we knew there would be players unhappy with the changes when we made this announcement. Obviously, there's players whose livelihoods are being impacted, and we knew the players would be vocal about it. So we hope most of these players who are being impacted will be able to adapt and continue to be successful. But we truly believe that will happen. A few years ago we made changes to the French VIP club, and they were over 30% as well. And a lot of those players, we looked at the data. A lot of those players a year later we're doing well and being successful. So hopefully a lot of these players will be able to adapt, and we still believe in the changes that we're making. We think they're the right thing to do for the long-term future of online poker, and will benefit not only PokerStars but most players in general. So the VIP club is obviously it's a significant investment for the company. And we put a tremendous amount of analysis into making these decisions. We certainly believe that will have a positive impact on the long-term poker ecology. Will some game types be impacted? Yes. Will some high-volume players need to adapt? Yes. But we feel strongly that this is the right direction. We are not reevaluating or discussing any reversals of the changes. Our focus right now is preparing for the worldwide rollout VIP steps on January 1st.
Matthew, you mentioned the French changes from a few years back. Were they similar for similar reasons? I remember back then the French rate of the tax on PokerStars was really high, I believe, from the French government. And I remember thinking that maybe the rollbacks were for that reason. But are they analogous? Like, can you look at those? The results from that, because obviously this is a big risk for PokerStars as well, right? You're completely changing your model around. So while I'm sure you guys have all the data that will make you think that these things are going to be positive for the economy, maybe that's that French example is something you can look back on if it's analogous to what's happening now.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I wasn't even with the company back at that time, but we did look at the data, and we looked at all the high volume players in the French market for the 6 months before we made the changes, and then we jumped 1 year ahead and looked at the next 6 months, a year later, looked at how many players had left the site, how many players were still playing. We looked at so many different scenarios. I mean, I read a lot of these forums, and there's a lot of smart people in this company, and we have access to a lot of data. Many of us we're former professional poker players, and we've been evaluating the poker ecology and these changes for months and months. This wasn't something obviously that we just put together in a short period of time. I mean, it was looked at in 2014, and we decided not to make significant changes last year. So we've been looking at this for a long time. We have a lot of data. All the scenarios that players like posting this in the forums, like this is going to happen or that's going to happen. We've considered all those. We've looked at every single what if scenario there is. And at the end of the day, after all of this analysis and looking at all the data, we feel it's the right thing to do, and we feel it will benefit. We strongly feel it will benefit most players in the long term, recognizing that obviously that some players in the short term are impacted, and some people's livelihoods are being impacted. We recognize that, but we're looking at the long-term poker ecology and trying to put a system in place that's sustainable for a long time.
Matthew, is it something that we've all seen the games get tougher, et cetera? That's I don't think anybody's really contending that. And I wonder, what the thought process or what the projections of if we continue down the path that we're on. I think clearly out there it seems like everybody realizes that changes had to be made. I mean, the poker economy isn't what it was 3 years ago. It's completely changed. It's it changes daily, monthly, never mind yearly. So, but I wonder if how much can you look down the path of, well, let's keep things the same and let's see what happens. I mean, was there a thought that these games are going to die and be gone for good if nothing was done?
Well, obviously, we felt if we made no change and we continued on the same path, that eventually it would end up being a negative for us. So, we looked at certain trends. We look at deposits and loss rates and all those things over time, and there were some trends that we've seen over the last couple of years that are going in a negative direction, and so something needs to be done. I mean, it could continue for some time, but you eventually you run into problems, and we've seen this happen at other poker sites where maybe you have large balances on your site, but if they're declining over time, it can kind of give you the wrong impression of the results of the site. So changes, I do think, like you said, most people do feel that changes need to be made. And one thing I kind of want to bring up is there was the podcast the other day that Joe Ingram and Daniel and Dani, they were talking about different things. And Daniel brought up one thing that he said if he was in charge, he would reward net depositors more. And that's something that we're already doing. We haven't really talked about it much as a company before, but I did allude to it a little bit a few weeks ago when we talked about the changes. But this is something we're already doing, and it's something we're going to be doing a lot more of. We have a department that looks at net depositors, especially those that are no longer active. And so if they stop playing for a month, we give a lot of these guys special offers to try to get them to come back to the site. And next year, we're increasing that budget significantly. And when I say significant, it's like a 8-digit number, right? Or we're talking millions and millions of dollars. And all that money is going to net depositors, and hopefully we bring them back to the site, and all that money goes back into the economy. So, there's the poker economy. It's so complex, and there's a lot of things. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on, and we feel that to change things, we need to bring more players to the site. The players that we do have, we want to keep them onto the site longer. That's one thing we talked about. The third-party software is we want to protect. Once we invest a lot of money to get players to the site, so we want to protect them a little bit when they get here. There's a lot of these things all come together, and obviously nobody knows exactly for sure what's going to happen. But if we kept going along the path that we were, poker wasn't going to grow. So hopefully a lot of this is a significant amount of money, and it's going to allow us to do a lot of different things next year, and hopefully many of them will be successful.
You mentioned the third-party software, and we've seen a lot of sites go to anonymous tables, ban all kinds of different things, use hand histories or stop hand histories, and stop players from being able to data mine, etc. Stars has always sort of taken small steps with regards to this stuff. I know there was an announcement along with these changes that in 2016 you guys are going to look closely at all the different third-party software that is available for players right now, and maybe be restrictive or be more restrictive on that. Can you talk more at all, or has there been any more discussion on exactly what that might be, or sort of the philosophy of that?
Well, I can't say too much, just simply because I'm not involved in those discussions too much. I do know the main focus initially is going to be seat scripts and data mining. In terms of what we're planning on doing or how we're planning on doing it, I really just don't have the answers.
Sure.
Because
Fair
I
enough.
just don't work in that area. Yeah. Yes. I do want to say one more thing about the podcast the other night.
Sure.
Because I want to just want to make sure, we've sent out a lot of communications, and the players that complained that we haven't explained things fully, and I don't want there to be misconceptions out there. They were talking the other day about why we were removing VPPs for high stakes.
Mm-hmm.
And they said during the podcast that we said we were doing this to protect the players or protect the fun players. And we really, we have said that in terms of third-party software, but that definitely was never the removal of VPPs for high-stakes games. Is obviously we're not doing that to protect the players.
Sure.
It's the reason we're removing high stakes was it's simply we looked at the rewards at those stakes, and for most players at those stakes, the rewards represent a small percentage of their wins or losses, and we have essentially made the decision that we'd prefer to invest that money in other areas of the company. So I just wanted to point that out because I hear things, and the threads are long, and there's a lot of podcasts out there and a lot of people discussing, and there's some things aren't as they are, I guess. And so just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
So
thanks a lot, Matthew. Really appreciate your time. I know you're going on holiday for a few weeks. We'll talk to you when you're back, and I'm sure you'll be a little more rested and fresh when you get back from holiday.
Yes, I am going away on holidays. Very excited about that. So I'll be gone for a few weeks. We'll be implementing VIP steps on January 1st. So that's going to be a busy time for me as well, the first week of January, and then we'll get into the next year.
Fair enough. Thanks so much, Matthew. Have a good trip, and we'll talk to you when you get back.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Some more in case you missed it. T, I don't know if you noticed this, the classic painting, The Dogs Playing Poker by Coolidge, sold at auction at Sotheby's for $650,000. I mean, it's not a great painting by any stretch of the imagination. I guess
you're an art critic now?
I mean, I know enough to know that can be. Well, I mean, I guess it's because it's an iconic piece of art or something that the value attached to it seems. I'm not saying, now you're going to give me a hard time for judging art, but
I am.
But come on,
I was like, I didn't know that this was a big passion or hobby of yours.
Hey there,
as historical art pieces.
I've been to the Louvre. Come on.
Oh, okay. Well, you've been to. Okay, never mind.
Now you can see it.
I take it back. You are an expert.
Yes.
I actually went to Paris. I didn't go to the Louvre.
You didn't? What? Yeah. How do you go to Paris and not go to the Louvre?
Busy. There was like a long line. I'm not even that big of an art person.
It's the Louvre.
Like you walk in there, like I literally don't know the difference between like any art that would sell for like $300 million and like something your kid drew. Like I really wouldn't.
Yeah, but that's not why you go. You go there to see all the pieces of work that were done years and years. The one thing
okay,
about
well, I'll say I wouldn't know. Obviously, I'm exaggerating. Was like something your kid would do, but like say like a talented student in university right now. Like I certainly wouldn't know the difference between something
nor would I.
Picasso.
For sure, but still, that's no reason not to go. But
so you're just going to the Louvre to be like because somebody told you that
no, because there's amazing art there. If there was amazing art all gathered somewhere else by a 19-year-old college student, I'd go there too. But I don't know that that's the case. You can take 7 days, literally. You could spend a week going through everything in the Louvre. It's massive. You've seen
what's going on? Are you guys getting shut down over there?
Right now there's a giant. It's funny because there's a giant windstorm, and the entire block right across the street from us has lost power.
Oh yeah.
There's sirens going crazy.
A state of emergency has been declared in Maple Ridge.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to tell me?
The lights are flickering here, so we might lose power at any moment. We're
crazy out here.
Have lots of like canned food and water there to survive the apocalypse.
Canned shawarmas.
By the way, speaking of art, so there was a big story in Hong Kong this week. There was a guy who bought a piece. I think it's actually in China, but he now owns
China.
Thank you. He now owns 7 pieces of art that all are worth more than 100 million Hong Kong, which is like 15 million US. So he just bought another one. He just bid 170 million for some Italian art piece. But the cool thing, the part that I love about this, and get ready with the chainsaw drop, is that he bought it on his Amex card and he's getting the points.
Come on.
Yeah, for $170 million, he bought it and he's getting the points. The dude apparently, like, he's done this before. He loves getting points. And I mean, obviously not coming out ahead on it, but in a week where all we're talking about is like points and VIP club and stuff like that and rake back and all
How many points would you get for $170
million piece of art?
Like, you would have points for life. You could fly around the
world. Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Like, you just literally like fly everyone you know on those like airline those like hotel rooms in the sky, right? Like,
this guy's a genius.
Yeah,
and then you can just turn around and sell it.
If you're going to be like an eccentric art billionaire, then definitely, I love the fact that you can be an eccentric art billionaire, but still be clever about it.
Have you seen zeros? I've seen a story lately about I don't know if it's been around for a while, but I just read it recently about this guy who's basically homeless. I think he's, I don't know, mid-20s or whatever, 30s, and all he does is fly around the world nonstop.
Wow.
And it's all on credit card frequent flyer stuff. And he's just figured out exactly how to game the market, and he just spends like all in first class and staying in hotels for using his points, and he pays for nothing. He just flies around the world.
My favorite ARB in this vein, I may have told this story in the show before, is that those people on Flyer Talk who there was like some sort of like limited edition silver dollar thing the U.S. was basically selling. The U.S. Mint was selling, so they would just buy them. And then redeem them at the bank, but they would buy them on the credit card, so basically just getting free points. So like you would buy like $100,000 in silver dollars or whatever, and it would only cost you $100,000, and then just go to the bank and they roll them, and then just like, all right, put the $100,000 back in my account, pay off the credit card, get the credit card.
Can you imagine the teller, like when you roll up and go, excuse me, I've got 100,000 in $1 coins that I want to redeem? Like the guy is you've ruined his day.
Well, he's a teller. He doesn't care. It's his job. But you've ruined the manager's day.
Yeah,
you've got like the 90 pissed off customers in line behind him.
Yeah. All right. In case you missed it, 2 men high carded to see who would win a mayoral election in Florida, in Bradenton Beach, Florida, a city roughly 1,500 people, not too far from Tampa. Early last month had an election for mayor, and when the votes were counted and recounted, each candidate had 195 votes. Apparently, not too many people cared about voting in
that's not
Bradenton Beach.
That's
15%.
Well, almost 400 people. That's like 25% voter turnout.
Is it?
Well, you said 1,500 people live in the city.
195
and then each
votes.
candidate has 195 each. So that's almost 400.
Oh, each candidate. Sorry, I read it as
so those 400 people voted in a city of 1,400 is actually pretty good.
They I guess they were written into the legislature there as if it's tied. They high card for
it's written in the legislature, like they didn't just
that's how they decide it. So one guy got the deck.
I feel like you could have done so much more, like Pistols at Dawn or something like that. But
it would have been more fun. The current mayor went first. He got the 10 of clubs. So you draw the 10. You're like, wow, and this is a job for like 4 years. I mean, imagine how much money this guy has on the line, right? He's getting paid, what, 60,000 or whatever he's getting for 4 years or however many years. I mean, that's remember the scene?
Yeah, I don't know if mayor of a town of 1,500 pays that well.
Whatever.
But
I mean, some amount of money.
You're certainly valuable, right? Like, there's this the old economic argument is that like mayors are more important than governors or presidents because they actually have more influence over what they can do, right? Like mayors can actually do a lot for their city compared to like governors of states or whatever. But you said the 10 of clubs. Do suits count? Like, would he have been trumped by the 10 of spades?
Interesting, right? Yeah, maybe they were to recut. Draws the 10 of clubs. The other guy.
So he's a 9-4 favorite.
Yeah, and the other guy draws an ace. Boom. Just snaps
off the ace.
Snaps the ace.
So rigged.
He is
How are these players? How are they even still in this tournament?
He's now the mayor of Bradenton Beach, Florida. I thought that was kind of funny. In case you missed it, a teen from the United Kingdom got a suspended sentence for shutting down an online gambling website. We see this happen all the time, these DDoS attacks, denial of service. And sites have, in the past, I don't know what it's been like, but in the past, they've had to spend tons and tons of money, the sites, on battling this kind of thing, right? And people were doing it, and from Eastern Europe, the sites would often get blackmailed. They would say, they'd send a message saying, we're going to shut your site down if you don't send me X thousands of dollars. And they caught a guy. They gave him a suspended sentence for 1 year, they gave him a sentence for 1 year in prison, and the judge suspended it. And I'm thinking, how that's something that's economic crime that should be punished. And
was he doing this as a like you said, a blackmail thing, or was he just like some goofball kid who decided to spray paint a wall, right?
It's different. You think it should be more, if it's blackmailing it, he should get.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think clearly, yeah. Like it's sort of like the difference. Yeah, I generally think that if you're doing something for sort of self-interested game as opposed to just being a shithead kid, then yeah, I think it makes a difference. And also, teen defines everything from 13 to 19, and I think there's a significant difference in that sort of punishment as well, right? Like 13-year-old kids do a lot of stupid thing, and you should give them a lot more leeway, but 19-year-olds probably don't. So I don't know how old this particular teen was, but I think that matters as well.
So we've got the voicemail that we mentioned. We've played a couple of the recordings that we did get. Ross, we got a few more. Do you want to get into that now?
Sure.
Okay, why don't we do that? Let's play some of the voicemails left for us, and we'll talk about them.
Are we doing mailbag?
No, the mailbag is the email bag, but I guess we're gonna use two drops.
It's all encompassing.
It's a voicemail bag.
It's a voicemail. We almost need another drop for the voicemail bag, I think.
So we'll play these first, I guess.
Okay.
Maybe we gotta drop Survivor between mailbag. No.
I was told drop Survivor was a bad thing.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well.
How many we got left?
Hey guys, it's Brad Pope. I just called in about 5 minutes ago, right after the first tweet, and I wanted to be the first on the mailbox. And Ross texted me back and said I was too quiet, so I'm trying this in a different spot. I still better get counted as first. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
That's awesome.
That Pope is first.
That was the first, the voicemail equivalent of first. He didn't actually have anything to say.
He had nothing to say. He just wanted to get the first in. I love it. That's fantastic. All right.
If the second voicemail says second, I'm going to start getting tired of this.
That'll end the voicemail.
No, there was no second. Yes, and we had some questions.
Okay.
Hey, gents. Red Sox fan Colin from Wisconsin. Just want to get your thoughts on the proliferation of regional and smaller events. Used to just be the World Series took place. Now you've got Heartland Poker Tour, you've got the World Series Circuit, you've got the Mid-States Poker Tour out here. They seem to all be crushing numbers. And just wanted to see what your thoughts were and if you think that's the groundswell for more poker players coming into the universe. Thanks. Bye-bye.
So, great subject, great call. Thanks so much, Red Sox fan.
whatever tournament you buy into, first place money looks pretty good, and you know, even though if you realize, oh, I'm 800 to 1 to win first place, it's still exciting to dream about that idea. So you're right, and it's not only that, of course, it's what's always popularized on TV, or whether it's on Twitch or whether it's on, you know, normal TV, it's what gets all the attention, and that's what people are going to be drawn to what they see on TV.
All right, next call.
Go.
Hey guys, it's John calling from Canada. Just put my 2 cents in on my little rant about the boycott the pros at Stars are doing, having a 3-day boycott. I wish they would make it a permanent boycott. As far as I'm concerned, from the average Joe, they're ruining the games, and Stars has enabled them. They mega multi-table, 12, 20 games, and they all do it with the external software that Stars enables them. Now that they're going to be cutting back, I think it's going to be great for the game. I feel it's a really unfair advantage using the Hold'em manager, the poker tracker. It's the average Joe doesn't use those kind of external software, and these guys are already good, and they're playing 20 tables, and they basically can almost see your cards, looking at all your tendencies. You can buy the database. It basically tells them, you know, whenever you bluff, the percentages, all that kind of stuff. It's really, really frustrating. And now if they were to boycott it, I think it would make the games better at PokerStars. And this isn't, you know, they would say, well, the stars or the pros start all the games, and they're really essential for a poker room. Yeah, they are in a live room that has only 5 tables, but there's thousands and thousands here at Stars. And as far as I'm concerned, it'll make the money last longer there and not suck it up so quick.
Jay, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time we've heard the sentiment. I think we had an email last week that said very much the same thing. People are you know, a little bit tired of a lot of things, whether it's HUDs or seating script, especially casual players. John from Canada. By the way, John from Canada. It's almost like the cliche of like, you know, Canada's a big place. Do you know John from Canada? You're from Canada? Do you know John? But anyway, that was sort of besides the point. But I think John hits on a lot of points that a lot of recreational players have made for a long time, that they're tired of the general behavior of the pros, everything from mass multi-tabling to HUDs and seed scripts and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think we've talked in the past, and Dani mentioned it as well, that you know, it would have been nice for these changes to happen as far as the, you know, software and stuff, if it would have happened already. I think Stars might have been a bit slow on moving forward with getting rid of seeding scripts and different predatory stuff that you could do. I mean, they have moved in that way recently with getting rid of some of the you know, remember the Skier 5 discussion we had, and hopefully that's the way that they're going to move in the future. So but yeah, I understand the sentiment for sure. That's all we have.
That is all we have.
So we need more. Call in, guys.
Those were great, though.
Yeah, the number is?
It's in my Twitter handle.
It's also in their notes. I got there. It's 1-702-799-9949. That's 1-702-799-9949. Call Ross.
Call Ross today.
You can call me.
All right, so we're going to come back. We got emails. We got some other stuff to get to after
the traditional
break.
emails.
The traditional. We get them in the mail. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention is I have an update with my speeding ticket extravaganza that went on this year. I have a letter. I will read it. I haven't read it yet, so I will read it on the air.
You post it on the forum, like, you know, like block out your address and all that. And
should I
just post it on the? Why not? Just see what the text says. I'm
well,
curious. I want to see. It's like we're opening your mail on the internet.
Exactly. Virtually opening it. All right. You're listening to the 2+2 Pokercast presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. More right after this.
Middle position makes it 2,500 to go at 6-12. Button calls, and I peel with 8-7 off in the big blind. Flop comes Queen 7-6 with a diamond flush draw. I got none. I check. Middle position C bets 4K. Button folds, and I call. The turn is a 5 of diamond. I lead this time for 13,000, and he calls quickly. The river is a jack off suit. And I bet again, 32K this time, and he snap mucks.
Team Pro Online's Marc-Andre French Dog Ladouceur is a Supernova Elite VIP. This is the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club.
Okay, people, most of the kittens have perished. There are a few left you can save, though, and here's how to do it. Get involved with the Pokercast by emailing your questions, suggestions for the show, or even record a sound clip. Adam will be using the best ones on the air. Well, let's face it, probably the worst ones as well. I can see you there at your computer. Send an email right now. Totally disagree with one of Adam's takes last week? Send an email. Love last week's interview? Email. Want to know how much cash Adam has on him right now? Email. Pokercast at 2plus2.com is the address. Ship the funny to Adam today.
Hey, it's Mike from the 2plus2 store and ProfessionalPoker.com. 2plus2 is pleased to announce the release of their most anticipated book in ages, Applications of No Limit Hold'em, a guide to understanding theoretical sound poker by Matthew Jonda. This book will give you the ability to create the bet sizings and ranges which will beat the better players. The theory in this book is not designed to be complex or abstract, but rather it's intended to be applied immediately, producing better overall results. Many confusing concepts, such as overbetting, balancing multiple bet sizing ranges, donk betting, and check raising as a pre-flop raiser, are crucial to a player's strategy, despite few players implementing them or talking about them. And after reading this book, you should be able to not only conceptually understand these ideas, but also know how to begin incorporating them into your game, and thereby successfully compete against tough opponents. And at the 2plus2 store, we accept all credit cards, plus PayPal and NetTeller.
This week on the End of the Gun podcast, David Tuckman talks to Ansky about the recent PokerStars strike.
I mean, would you take it that far?
Certainly, I think volume will go way down. I mean, but the thing is, the ultimate problem that I think exists is that I think these changes are going to be terrible for PokerStars too. And then, like I said, none of us want to see PokerStars get hurt too much from all this, because this is where we want to play poker, And if PokerStars volume drops off dramatically, that hurts everyone. So I think the ultimate negative impact of that, if they completely shun us, is I think it'll have very bad effect on the site.
Check out the End of the Gun podcast every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, hosted by David Tuckman over at Twitch, at Tuck on Sports, or at CrushLivePoker.com.
Did you listen to my song? ただ息を切らした夢にまで見た東京で煙吹かした I tried to send you SOS ただ乱れたいな SEX 振り切った10代の空振りは意図した
Welcome back to the 2+2 Pokercast, presented by the PokerStars VIP Club. We are still trying to get Mr. Patrick Parkinson. He might pop in here for a bit, but we got a ton of emails to get to and some other stuff, some Roscoe reports. So let's get right into that. How about 140 or less?
140 characters. That's it. I love hashtags. I love all of them.
Terrence Chan
needs more than 140 characters to express itself.
140 or less.
See Tracy Morgan host Saturday Night Live again?
Nope.
You didn't see that?
No.
Don't watch
Saturday Night Live is very, very hit or mostly miss.
I like it. I still get a kick out of it. He's back and hosted Astronaut Jones and some of the other famous segments that he does. Brian Fellows. 140 or less. Luke. This is your buddy, right? Luke W?
Yeah, Luke.
He
tweeted at you.
He was at me. Ross dug up drops of 05 Adam. You may enjoy this dug up photo from a local Bowen poker tournament in 2006. And it is looks like a 10-year-old. But it's Ross.
I look like Rudy in that photo.
You do. You look like you're like 10 years old. It's hilarious.
I have no facial hair.
We're gonna have.
It's up on the forum now, right? That photo.
Is
I'm
it?
Pretty sure. I don't remember what thread it's in right now. I'm gonna try to scan.
Oh
real
my
quick,
God!
maybe
It's
while
so
you
great.
guys talk through this, but I believe somebody posted in the forum.
The local Bowen poker tournament. Were you just ripping the poker tournaments apart 10 years ago?
Yeah, we had some local tournaments back in the heyday. I think that one I bluffed off my chips in the first 5 minutes.
So you could go drink.
I don't know. I think I was smoking weed that day. I remember. Had some good.
Nice.
Good
that's a pretty good memory for a guy who was smoking weed that day.
10 years ago, yeah. Phil Helmuth booked my record win in neighborhood game, 80,900. Worked out only 3 times in 2015, including today. Think my 30-minute run was huge for me. Little Donald Trump in there.
So he's worked out 3 times
in 2015
in the year, and he booked a win on a big win on
causation.
One of his runs. So clearly, given the sample size is 3, and oh my God, this man in math should not be ever in the same sentence.
What's it's like a compulsive guy, right? Like he. Well, I mean,
I think that I'm near full power.
No, the other one's better.
Which one's that?
The one where he rips the guy. Remember that one?
That's called chewing your leg out to get out of the trap, kid.
Yeah.
I was going to say the one where he rips the guy is possibly the most ambiguous instruction that you could give.
Yeah.
Well, we only have a couple
one
of Helmuth.
He was angry at a poker tournament.
Like we have a ton of
them. One time.
Remco. Winter in Toronto. I just saw a girl wearing gloves like a photo on Instagram by double tapping the screen with her nose.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
things that are Canadian, right?
Speaking of that kind of stuff, did you listen to
This American Life?
This American Life this week.
I just listened to that on the way here.
I have it downloaded. I don't think I've listened to it yet.
That's the thing about American Life, right? Like I've got This American Life? I've got so many podcasts. And I never always get around to This American Life, but when I do, I think, why don't I listen to all of these? I'll go weeks without listening to one.
I know why I don't. It's because there's these thing called airplanes, and so This American Life is the perfect airplane stuff because it's not timely, right? You can listen to an episode from 5 years ago; it's just as relevant as it is today.
Yeah.
So when you listen to other podcasts, they're stuff that's talking about what's going on this week, and you don't want to miss that. So I mean, that's the thing. But anyway, go ahead. What is the tell of the week?
So it's a discussion about young people and how they have to like photos on Facebook and the social interaction that goes along with it. It's pretty fascinating for those of us who aren't in grade 10. trying to understand exactly.
Not that any of us.
Well, it was
on
more
show
teenage
have young daughters, right?
Yes,
yeah. Well, I guess that's why it was interesting to me. Jimmy Fricky. People are absolutely loving this story. I posted it involving Broke Living JRB. Check it out. And there's a thread that got changed. It's NVG. It got changed. It was started by a guy telling a story about Freddie Deeb, and Gabo was the second post in the telling a story, and it was about JRB. And then he goes like this: "Was playing in a 10K horse at the World Series of Poker 5 or 6 years ago, and the power went out for 15 or 20 seconds. Room went completely dark, and everybody was covering their chips," which is hilarious in itself, right? You can imagine the power going out, and everybody just kind of puts their arms over their chips, it's going to be a free for all. Room went completely dark, everybody was covering their chips. Lights came back on, and Jean-Robert Ballon stood up and shouted out, "New chip leader, men the master." Loud enough for everybody in the whole Amazon room to hear him, and the place erupted in the biggest round of laughter I've ever heard. So a pretty funny story there. I wonder if Men was in the building at the time when he said it, but not that Jeremy would care.
I don't think he'd play the 10K horse, but I remember Gavin Griffin also responded to that tweet. Foxwoods, he was playing a Foxwoods tournament 6 years ago. He was at the same table as Men, and the lights went out, and he was the only one who covered his chips. How alarming is that?
Wow, that's funny too.
Especially Foxwoods, the scene of the crime, scene of the original crime, the rice cooking
The rice
crime.
cooker upstairs. Yeah. All right, let's get on to the mailbag.
And now.
That right there is the mail. Now let's talk about the mail. Can we talk about the mail, please, Malcolm? I'm dying to talk about the mail with you all day, okay?
Mailbag. Email number 1.
RHCP0. Hey, listener here from Slovenia. I listen to all 2+2 podcasts, and you are a good job, but your podcasts with Harolenko and others were amazing. Please do more. I wanted to ask you, since you travel a lot, where do you buy tickets, reserve rooms, since it seems you don't plan your trips and decide on the spot where to go? What is good advice to get some cheaper tickets / hotels? I'm assuming this is aimed at T, so Terrence.
Yeah, he sent this to my mailbox instead of the mailbag mailbox, which was fine. He's like, but in reality, Adam is the one who books last minute trips.
That's true.
Yeah, you are the king of procrastinating on buying airline tickets.
I'm pretty good at that.
But I almost usually get my tickets through one of the travel aggregators, so kayak.com or momondo.com. Seems like it always gets me the cheapest tickets, unless you're flying on one of the smaller airlines that don't use those aggregators. Those will always pull up a matrix. You can set your days to be like +3 or minus days, and then you can see exactly how much tickets cost for that weekend. You almost always save money off of the airline that you would normally fly. So that's what I do for tickets. For hotel rooms, I'm more picky about hotel rooms than I am about airplanes, because airplanes, they're pretty much all the same. Airlines, although people seem to really hate United, but aside from that, airlines are more or less the same. So for hotels, usually I look at the reviews on TripAdvisor, and then they'll also give you a bunch of rates, and then I'll also go to the hotel's website itself, and I'll see what their rate is offering. Sometimes that is actually cheaper on there. So that is what I do. But actually, lately I haven't been using that many hotels. I've been kind of Airbnb-ing everywhere, because I love Airbnb. I love living in a proper place, an actual apartment or a house. I did all Airbnbs when I was in Berlin, and they were all awesome.
Totally agree. Hotels suck compared. Hotels suck compared to actual.
Yeah, it's just so sterile, right? It's like you're gonna walk, you're gonna key card up to your room, and there's nothing in there. There's a bed and a TV and a washroom, right? Yeah. Room service is gonna knock on your door at 9 a.m, even if when you've got the sign posted, and they're gonna come in at the wrong time. Your phone's gonna ring for some stupid reason. It's so much nicer staying in an Airbnb.
I use hitmonk.com is the one I use for flights. That's the one I found is the best for airfares. The one I use for hotels it's in North America. I'm not sure if it's in Europe. Hotels Tonight. Have you seen this app?
Yeah, I know that it's definitely the short term one, right? It's literally for what's available right now. Which that's really good, because actually a lot of time the websites, they won't give you a room for tonight, or if it's past 9 p.m. it's hard to get good results.
I used that app in New York, and we looked it up, and then called the hotel, and it was $30 cheaper than the app. So
you can always do that too, right? Yeah. That's the other thing you can do is call
because the app takes their cut or whatever. So.
Right. Well, and it's they're based on their occupancy, right? So if the hotel manager picks up the phone and he looks at the room, it's they're 40% empty. He's probably going to give you some kind of deal.
Email number 2.
Is that an Alex drop? No?
It was not him. It might be Alex's wife.
Legit.
Brandon from Calgary. You'll remember Brandon he emailed back 2 shows ago, or last show, where he wanted to play How Much You Got. I'll play How Much You Got with Ross for $10, guessing how much Adam has. Send me a tweet. I've done that. He sent an email with his guess. And Terrence, question for you from Brandon: are you coming out to Calgary for the Deep Stack Poker Tour? It'll be sunny.
The Hong Kong to Calgary flight might be prohibitive.
Is there a direct Hong Kong to Calgary?
It goes through Vancouver. I don't know. Maybe I don't think there is. No. I think there's only going through Vancouver, so it might be a little far. And it's plenty sunny over here in Southeast Asia, and it's also, let me check right now, 19 degrees Celsius.
So let's get to
19 degrees Celsius in Calgary right now.
Probably not. No, it is not. How much you got? So this is gonna be how much do I have? Brandon has emailed me his guess. This is going against you. It's a $10 wager. And you have no knowledge of how much money I have. We've not talked about this at all. So, Ross,
but he has such an informational advantage. He's been out with you.
He's no. I'm still very confused, because Adam knew that he got this email before this.
I didn't alter my behavior in any way.
Okay.
I had how much money I had on me, and if I needed more, I went and got it. If I didn't, I didn't.
Well, I think you just came from home, so I don't think you have bunch of money.
How much I got?
I'm gonna say $215.
$215.
Enough for a Sunday Million.
I have 45 Canadian dollars on me.
Oh no.
And Brandon's guess was $165.
Fuck. Price is Right style, they both lose.
Price is Right style, they both lose, but in this case, Brandon has won $10 from Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Oh, you're all over the place because I've seen you just chilling with like $900, but.
You know what it is? I'm using debit way more now. I've just got my debit card and I use it everywhere.
You got the tap debit?
I got the tap debit. That's what.
So Americans won't know about this. I'm not sure about Europe. I think they have it in Europe too, but Americans won't know about it because they're light years behind. But in Canada, you can just tap your debit card. It's an RFID debit card now, and it just
up to $100.
I mean, it's a disaster for security.
Oh yeah, up to $100. Like you can't do it for more than $100. But yeah,
right. But if you drop $100 is a lot to a lot of people. So if you drop your debit card, I don't know what kind of fraud
I think you have recourse.
But you basically there's no PIN, there's no anything, there's no signature required. You literally just scan and tap. So,
but it's awesome. And if you're going to be worried about
convenient.
security, do not lose your card. That's a simple solution.
Yeah, I mean we got the Octopus card in Hong Kong. It's the same deal. It's cashless. It's wireless cash. It's great.
I just should have pulled the $1, Bob.
You should have.
So does Ross owe Brandon 10 Canadian or
10
American
Canadian?
Dollars?
No, Brandon's from Calgary. Ross is from Vancouver.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
$10.
It's fair. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's got.
Okay, well I'll say send me a tweet and I will send you the equivalent of $10
on stars
minus GST. PST.
Because that's encouraging. We have bigger problems if there's GST on gambling debts.
Yes. Luke Mather. Hey guys, I love the show. I write from Melbourne, Australia, which is 17,225 kilometers from Kells. Interesting discussion last week on how the PokerStars changes affect rec players, of which I am one. I dabble on stars from time when time permits, and I'm a lifetime loser online, which I don't mind at all. For someone like me, the reward program changes don't mean much, as I've never looked at what I can get with my points, and the lottery-style appeal of some of the promotions does pique my interest. Being time poor means I'm never going to grind cash online. It's more about firing off in a few MTTs or spin and goes for a few hours while my wife is out with the kids, or I've got a free night after work. I'm not sure how the upcoming changes will affect the overall poker economy, but I do feel like it incentivizes someone like me to fire up the client and deposit more often than I usually would, which in end means there'll be more money in the pool for pros to take. On to the poker question. Curious to get your collective takes on how a casual player like me should handle variance, given the limited amount of play I put in. I recently took aggressive lines on the bubble with slightly below average stacks from 10 to 20 big Bs in a couple of MTTs that ended up in flips both times, my small pair versus 2 overcards, and in both instances I was eliminated. I wasn't tilted by either knockout, as I feel like I was a slight favorite in both instances, and I know you need to get the chips in to win. As both MTTs were small stakes, a min cash was worth only a few dollars, so lasting a few extra spots was not that appealing.
When you write 52% of the time, you're wrong 48% of the time.
Am I too aggro in these spots, or is it the right line to take? Thanks for all the great work. I don't know. I mean, if you shoved with and you felt like it was going to be a flip and you had some fold equity, I don't hate it, T.
So a couple things here. The first thing I've said on the show multiple times, it doesn't matter how often you play. This is a
it does to him though. It matters to him, like he wants to play longer. Like he's playing. I'm sorry. Okay.
Let me get there.
Okay.
From a variance perspective,
right.
Your variance is not higher if you don't play very often. And this is a really big misconception, and we've had a bunch of people write this, and I'm not trying to pick on Luke at all, but we've had a lot of people who sort of fit this demo of I don't get to play that often, and should I aim to reduce my variance? And the answer is mathematically it doesn't matter at all in the slightest. It doesn't matter. Like you get people who say like, oh, I don't have to balance my play because I'm not going to make it to the long run. Daniel Negreanu said this on the show. He's wrong, but anyway, it doesn't. The long run is just a concept that we sort of use to explain the ideas of expectation and variance, right? Like because it's like, yes, if you play 20,000 tournaments and you might win this flip 11,000 times and lose 9,000 times, but that's it doesn't really matter. I will say that when you're on the bubble, of course, you should generally try to avoid flips if you can, right? Now, you brought up, Adam, just now a really good point that if you've got fold equity and you think that the worst case scenario is that you're a flip, you absolutely should shove, because it takes a very small amount of fold equity for a shove to be correct when you're 50% if you get called, or close to 50%. Even if you're like 40%, sometimes it's correct. But when you're on the bubble, it does matter. There's ICM. He mentions that it's small stakes, so the min cash doesn't really matter to him. That's psychologically, but it really, if you're trying to play correctly, what really matters is how big is the min cash compared to the buy-in. So, sometimes, let's say the World Series of Poker main event, the min cash is often it's like $20,500, so that's 2x the buy-in. Sometimes you get EPT events where they're only 1.5 times the buy-in, and then same with PokerStars. A lot of times the min cash is actually less than one buy-in of profit. That's really what matters. So when you're thinking about making a decision as to whether you should shove in a tournament, that's really what matters, is how big is that min cash relative to the buy-in. It shouldn't be, in theory, you should play a $3 tournament the same way you play a $3,000 tournament, but that's actually, of course, not how people behave. In general, I agree with being aggressive on the bubble in most small to medium stakes tournaments, because people really do desperately want to cash, and they'll fold more often than you think. I can't tell you how often I've been playing in tournaments, especially live tournaments, and then to fold around to the button who puts in a raise, and the big blind will just show ace queen and fold, and I just I do the Ivy's eyeballs popping out of my skull when Gentili shows a full house kind of deal.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's generally right for most small stakes multi-table tournaments to be more aggressive on the bubble than you think might be correct.
Email number 3.
T, the next one has a whole bunch of big words in it. Can you read it?
Sure. Brett Webb sends 2 things that I'd like to hear some discussion on. 1, AI/machine learning. Phil Galfon's interview a couple weeks ago got me thinking about the advances in the field of machine learning and AI as it applies to large data sets. I'm a software engineer by training, but now manage teams that build large data warehouses for industrial-sized data sets, in brackets, Internet of Things data collection, scraping social networks around the world for interactions data, manufacturing line data, etc. These data sets then get all kinds of analytics applied to them, standard business intelligence and machine-based analysis. These types of things have been going on for years, but the cost of computing and open-source projects have allowed this type of activity to be applied to many industries that couldn't afford custom solutions. We've heard this story before. It's not hard to imagine a time in the not-too-distant future when real-time analysis of your hand database could be processed and sophisticated recommendations could be produced by your own personal engine. I'm sure there are high-stakes players working on this in one form or another. I'm guessing you've talked about this with your math poker friends, Terrence. I'd love to hear more about this, and if anybody is applying this sort of analysis to high-stakes play.
So he goes on. We'll get to the second point, but why don't we talk about that one first?
Sure. Yeah. Well, actually, most of my mathy poker friends are working on non-poker things at the moment. Like Jared and Bill, they both work for Susquehanna. So they're busy working on how to exploit inefficiencies in the financial markets, which you can imagine is significantly worth more money than exploiting efficiencies in the pokers, especially since both of them live in the United States and plan to live in the United States for a few,
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing, is that we always think, oh, there's so much money in poker, but there's a lot more money in Wall Street. So actually, I don't have too many mathy poker friends who are working on this. Now, in terms of machine learning, I don't want to go too much about it because it's a subject that I have some vague familiarity with, but I'm certainly not an expert. I think Brett certainly is far more of an expert in this by the sounds of this email. But I think most of the resources that are being dedicated to the poker are still of the variety where they're just trying to solve poker using game theory, and it's obviously only a solution that works for you can only find game theoretical solutions for 2-player games, but they're probably trying to map it to multiplayer games. And we've spent a lot of time on this show talking about HUDs and all this kind of stuff. But yes, if you, in theory, if you had all this hand database, you could make real-time recommendations on how to play against people, specifically exploitively, just based on what people are generally doing. Even, you could have something that's like an exploitive strategy against somebody you've never seen before, simply because you assume that they play like everybody else plays, and that is a strong possibility. It's obviously stuff that online poker sites have to guard against to some extent. But
I think we've heard a lot about so-called dream machines from some of the high stakes players talk about the existence of these things, and maybe this is what they're talking about. But I don't have any experience with it. But that would be my guess. Yeah, and
I suspect it's just easier from a and he's the software expert, not me. But I suspect it's easier to research GTO strategies than it is to mine databases and try to get machines to learn. Like it's easier for machines to learn how to play against each other than it is to play against people, I guess, is one way to say it.
All right, and his second point?
Yeah, this one's really interesting too. Security about RFID tables. I think you've mentioned before, we'd like to see RFID tables.
Yeah.
For a wide variety of reasons, like security and to make poker more exciting on TV and a lot of other reasons.
Well, Alex Dreyfus is talking a lot about it with his new, movement towards the cube and
definitely.
all that stuff. Yeah.
Legit.
Yeah, for sure. Check out his interview with us from a few weeks back. But he says RFID is not secure by itself. You can do some quick searches and you find all kinds of ways it can be compromised. It makes me a little wary when I see all of these TV televised tables using this technology. This, again, comes from my day job, where we have to be concerned about technology and all the apps we build. It'd be interesting to know if independent security researchers, that is, hackers, have done any work on testing the security of various tables used by the large circuits and events. As players, we should be involved in ensuring these strong protections are in place. We've seen malicious activities on all levels of online poker. There's every reason to believe that people will try to get an edge by exploiting simple technologies employed to make the game more accessible to TV audiences. I'm sure there are many people that would love to do more research on both of these topics, me included, if you wanted to do more in-depth analysis than a single one-off interview. And he closes, keep up the good work, fellas. Well, thank you for the awesome email, Brett. And I will say, that's something we do have to think about. I mean, you would hope that the first person who hacks into a RFID table at a high-stakes final table, something like that, does it for good instead of evil, and they're just sort of like one of these guys that goes like, "Look what I did." John has the ace of clubs and the three of spades right now, and he just turned a wheel, and it doesn't just kind of go around and start signaling to his buddy like, you should fold because John has a wheel.
Well, in the example with Alex in the Global Poker League, it's in real time. So cracking the RFID tables and getting the cards of the people. Remember, they're in a soundproof booth. Their hands are already shown to everybody, so there's no incentive. When you talk about, I think when you talk about RFID chip, is this movement towards, in the future where we have cards that are RFID enabled for everything, rather than just that.
Yeah, I will say, I guess that poker did a pretty good job of maintaining integrity when we went to whole card cameras, right? So I mean, when we started installing cameras in the bottoms of tables, and those cameras were all being fed into a back room, we never really did have a scandal where somebody in that back room who had access to the information of what cards everybody had, leaked it out to one of the players at the table and caused we managed to avoid that scandal. And when whole card cameras were first a thing, that this is sort of like pre-RFID. This is like the 2004 RFID version, right? Where I was one of those people going like, wait, there's so much potential for something bad to happen here. There's so much risk that could be happening here, and I was really worried about it. And we 10 years later still haven't had that level of scandal. Not to say that we couldn't. I mean, people do bad things in poker all the time, but yeah, you just kind of have to hope that the first person, and somebody probably will, who hacks an RFID poker table, shows up and said like, hey, look what I did. This stuff isn't secure. You should stop doing it, and doesn't just try to make money off of it.
Email number
004.
2 questions. This is from Brian. First for Adam. How does a guy like you find time to address us each week with all the personal appearances and being worshipped for your wisdom that must happen in your everyday life?
Hey there.
Second, what's another word for thesaurus?
I believe this email is addressed to Adam.
Oh, another word for thesaurus, a book with
giant vagina.
A book with similar words. How about that? That's another word. It's another term for...
I mean, it's so obvious to me that you only read this email because of the blatant sucking up, which I'm pretty sure he's trolling, by the way. So good troll.
Yeah, like I didn't know. Come on. It's funny. It's good. It's good humor. Obi, I'm 32... Oh, next email.
Email number.
It's number 5.
They're getting better. Obi, I'm 32 years old and I live near Munich. I've been listening to the show for the last 12 months or so and became a huge fan of the show immediately. My daughter was born 3 weeks ago, and as I predicted, I now listen to your show while doing housework and taking care of my girlfriend and my daughter since I got fired a couple months ago.
Munich's not that far from Kells.
No.
Do the math.
Since you keep asking your listeners to provide you with content for your mailbag, I thought, why not send a couple of no-limit hands to discuss to get a little expert analysis out of it. I've been playing online poker on and off for about 10 years now, but never really seriously nor successful. Nevertheless, I still try and win a couple of bucks in the 6 max Zoom games, 5 cent, 10 cent, and 8 16 cent for now. Since I play a Mac, I don't have a HUD for the Zoom games, so I don't have any reads on my opponents. All right, so... these are good hands, and I wanted to talk about these two hands that are the same in different positions. So, T, have you fired these hands up?
I do. I've definitely gotten through the first hand, and I'm scrolling through the second one right now.
Let's go through the first hand. This is a 6 max Zoom game, 8 cent, 16 cent. And Obi starts with 200 big blinds with pocket tens in the small blind. The person in the cutoff raises to 40 cents. He has 100 big blinds he starts the hand with. It's folded to Obi, who makes it... the cutoff made it 40 cents, and Obi made it $1.44 from the small blind with the 2 tens. The big blind folds, and the cutoff now re-raises to $3. He basically clicks it back to $3. And Obi flat calls. The flop comes Jack, deuce. Obi checks, and the cutoff bets $3 into $6, bets about half pot, and Obi calls. The turn is a 4, so it's now Jack, deuce 4. It now goes check, and the cutoff shoves for $10 into a $12 pot, and Obi folds. So it's a tough spot with a medium strength hand at, slightly above medium strength hand, I guess, out of position, and just one of those tough spots. Like it's hard to play it in this spot out of position against this guy who re-raises you pre. I get that, and you've got to make a decision at some point if you're going to take a stand pre, I guess, with this. T, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so you kind of, my answer is tied up in your answer. You mentioned it's hard to play out of position against a guy who 4-bets you pre, and my answer to that is don't give an opportunity to 4-bet pre. I don't think 3-betting here pre-flop is a good idea, and I definitely don't think, you say take a stand. I definitely don't think you want to put in close to 100 big blinds. With 2 tens, because you're pretty much always going to be behind when that happens. So I would suggest, I think 2 tens is too weak and too strong, as they say, to re-raise pre-flop out of position. You want to be raising with better and worse hands. So obviously aces, kings, and queens, and ace king suited. And also hands that are weaker that you're willing to fold. So your suited connectors, maybe smaller pairs even. So, yeah, I mean, and also you have to think about your small blind, and this is especially important.
Hang on, before you move on, can I just ask you what your subset of hands where you say are too weak, too small? Like, what's the subset include?
So, I mean, they could include very small suited connectors, like even things down to like 8-6 suited and stuff like that. Stuff that you can fire directly into the muck if the other guy 4-bets you, but still have some post-flop flopping value. I think those are good candidates to be in there. Bad ace types of hands are also fine if you can play them very carefully. So even like a hand like Ace Jack is sometimes okay to do that because this is not a hand you want to play from more out of position. You do have to be very, very careful when you flop top pair with a hand like that. But I think the overall story, the point that I want to make is that you're going to call with a lot of hands out of the small blind. So you want to have hands like tens, which are quite good, protecting your range so that you can check and call flops like Jack, Jack, Deuce, boards like Jack, Jack, Deuce 4 and check and call twice. And people can't just barrel you with impunity when you have that kind of stuff. So I think you have to think, especially when you're playing cash, especially when you're playing Zoom, to be aware of how you can be exploited, and you can't just call with a bunch of suited aces and small pairs out of the small blind. You have to protect that range with better hands, and I think 2-10s qualifies as that.
So you're saying the subset then is what, like 8s, 9s, 10s, ace queen, that kind of thing? That's that too good to
of three betting or sorry, sorry, I misunderstood your question. Yeah, I would say things like 8s, 9s, 10s, and ace queen are stuff that you don't want to generally re-raise out of the small blind especially when you're deep.
Yeah, I think you get yourself in like so many tough spots when you get 4-bet with tens.
Yeah, because you certainly can't fold. The hand is too good to fold.
Well, especially when
it's also not very far behind.
You're getting like 4-1 when he clicks it back again.
Yes.
I think you should probably experiment with playing more exploitatively. I guess he said he didn't have a read, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I think maybe 3-betting bigger versus a short stack with tens could be more optimal.
Well, if you're playing against a short stack, you're fine getting it in with tens, right? But I think the guy starts the hand with 80 lines or something like that. So
okay.
Yeah.
Next hand he plays 6 max, also 8 cent, 16 cent. He's got the 2 tens in the cutoff this time. Also has about 150 big blinds. The villain in the hand is under the gun. He makes it 48 cents. To go. This villain starts the hand with 100 big blinds, so that's the effective stack. There's a flat call, and then Obi in the cutoff, as I said, makes it $1.60 to go with the 2 tens for raising from the 48 cent raise. It is folded around back to the under the gun player, who then, I believe, clicks it back to 320. The fold in between. And Obi calls the click back. We go to the flop. It is 9-6 deuce. Player 4 now bets $3.50 into a $7 pot. He bets half pot, leaving himself about $9 behind. Obi flat calls. Oh no, sorry. Obi shoves now on the flop for everything, and runs. The guy calls. He runs into 2 aces and does not suck out. So. Here's 2 tens in position, playing against another 4-bet pre and medium strength. Does this go back to exactly what you were saying before, T?
No. Yeah, I dislike this one less. I think it's less bad to re-raise pre-flop here. You're in position on this hand, and you've got a cold caller, which who's usually decently weak. I don't know how often people will flat with aces or kings at 8 cents, 16 cents. That's not something I know, but I know that definitely at higher stakes people will flat with these kind of hands, just trying to hope for a squeeze. But I don't hate the 3-bet pre-flop, and then the opponent, the villain on this hand, kind of clicks it back, not quite, but makes it not very much more. To makes it 328 on top of a $1.60 raise, and then you're kind of priced in the call there. So I think the interesting decisions are post flop on this hand, right? So you flopped an overpair, which if you were in limit hold'em you would never be folding, but in no limit, this guy's shown a lot of strength right now. It is a really tough spot because he could be hammering, the flush draw, even just a naked ace king. Maybe see some people play like this. Play ace king. I don't see a lot of people playing ace king like this at the games that I tend to play, so I tend to fold on the flop. But I can see the rationale for jamming. Is that you do have an overpair, but I think most of the time you're gonna end up losing this hand.
The clickback pre, the 4-bet pre is kind of telling, right? That's
scary. It certainly makes it look like he doesn't have ace king, right? Because how many people really make it 6 pre-flop, make it 3 pre-flop with ace king there, right?
Yeah. He goes on, these hands are very similar. I have the same hand both hands and in and out of position. These are kind of the spots that really confuse me and where I usually feel really lost. Folding pre-flop does not seem like a viable option in both spots, in my opinion, but getting in pre doesn't either. Does that make sense, or do I make the mistake starting here? So we talked about that. Basically, I turn my hand face up and hope to hit a set, more or less. Am I always beat here, or do the many possible combinations of ace-king justify me staying in the hand? Like I said, and as you can see when looking at these hands, I really don't know how to really play these kind of hands, say 9-9 to Jack-Jack in these spots. P.S. I keep tweeting Ross that I love the drops, but please let him know again this way. The China drop kills me every single time.
China!
So, yeah, no, that was good.
I don't agree that the hand is turned face up when you just
I think
call.
I'm going to flat there with.
I think it's a misuse of that idea. I mean, and the sort of the idea that hoping to hit a set, like there's nothing wrong with set mining. Set mining is very profitable in no limit hold'em as long as you don't put in too much money pre-flop.
Email number
6. Jason writes, Day 2 of the Seminole Hard Rock Hollywood, $500K guaranteed, $350 buy-in, 470 players left, 300 make the money. Blinds are 2,000, 4,000. I have 145K and open to 9K with the Queen 9 of spades. The button calls, big blind calls. The flop is 10-8-6 with 2 spades. So he flops a gutter and a flush draw. And an over. Big blind checks. I bet 15K into a pot of 35K. Button raises to 30K. Big blind folds. Button has 55K behind. So I don't think he's folding to a shove very often. Unless maybe he has ace 10 or king 10. But I don't want to flat and be out of position on a blank turn. I'm a favorite against all one pair hands and not in horrible shape against anything. I shove, he snaps with aces, and I miss. Some of my poker friends say I should have flatted and fold to a shove on the turn, but my friends are dummies. What do you guys think? This one sounds kind of familiar to you. I don't know if we've done it or not, but anyway, either way, let's do it again.
A lot of hands sound familiar.
Yeah.
I get a lot of hands.
So he flops a gutter and a flush draw and an over. And the question he seems to see is should he have flatted on the turn?
Yeah.
Should he have flatted and fold to a shove on the turn?
Right. I don't think you're folding this hand ever. So it's we've got 470 players left and 300 make the money, and he says he has 145,000, which is about 30-ish big blinds. So I don't know what that stack is, whether it's a big stack or a small stack. I'm guessing it's, given that it's about 35 big blinds, it's probably close to average of field. So I don't. Yeah. We're not at a point where we're playing very conservatively, trying to make the money, even if it's a big bubble, which I have no idea what the Hard Rock bubble was. But assuming, I think it's early enough that you can just kind of play this straightforwardly and not worry too much about the fact that it's close to the money. This is a fairly tough spot. I mean, I don't think you expect to get against aces very often here. The fact that he flats on the button is very unorthodox and very non-standard. I think going broke on this hand is fine.
So he mentions, I just want to bring one thing up. He mentions, I don't think he's folding to a shove very often, and maybe ace 10 or king 10. But I also don't think ace 10 or king 10 raises on the button very often. So I don't think that's a big part of his range, right?
I very much agree. I think those are hands that he could have flatted pre-flop. But yeah, not many people are going to be raising just like top pair with on a 10-8-6 two-spade flop. Like, I think the vast majority of people are going to be calling there, and I think raising there is a pretty big mistake, because if you had ace 10 or king 10, it would be a pretty big mistake. Now it turns out the guy had aces, so I think raising there is probably correct. I think it's okay to shove. I think I agree with Jason. Being calling and being out of position against a blank turn on this distribution of hands, it's very hard, because I think, and I know this is a tough spot because the raise is so strong. The raise just, very few people are ever going to bluff raise a 10-8-6 two-spade flop when in a 3-0 pot. It's so rare. Like, you're looking most of the time at top two pair or a set or a straight so often. And when this flop comes down, looking at my hand, I'm going oh shit, we're probably going to get it all in there.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a tough spot to go broke on, and I think you probably just want to take your equity now and shove and hope that he was bluff raising the flop. I mean, it is possible people can have things like Queen Jack that you could make fold. I mean, you're in dominant shape against Queen Jack anyway, but you'd still rather have him fold. I think this is just a brutal spot. The guy flattered with aces, and the fact that the guy flattered with aces, by the way, he shouldn't be patting himself on the back for flatting with aces and then getting in on this flop where he's like 40, low 40%, low 50% to win, right? Like
right, but he's going to get it in against queens, kings as well, right?
Yeah, but he would get it in against kings and queens pre-flop too, right? If he 3-bets pre-flop, then Jason's probably going to 4-bet if he's at kings, especially kings. So you're not. What do you gain by being clever and flatting on the button? You only win is like when you make the guy call when the guy's like ace 10 or something that he would have folded pre.
Right. And he should probably fold. Yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
So you ended up getting into a 45-55 or whatever it is spot against the guy who had aces. It sucks to go to the Steven bust, but I certainly don't blame your play at all. I think you played it fine.
So that's going to do it for the mailbag this week. We're clean out of emails. Pokercast at 2plus2.com. Please send in hands, emails, questions, how great I am. All those things will be read out. Please keep sending them in. Also the voicemail as well. All right, we're going to get to
702-799-9949.
702-999-9949.
Call now.
799-9949. Call
799.
now.
Call now.
Free shipping.
And
we will include one.
One what?
I lost it. I don't know.
All right, so let's move on. Before we get to the Ross report, let's do some invitational. This is the PokerStars Invitational for PokerCast listeners. This is for you guys out there listening to the show. PokerStars has added a tournament with $500 added to the prize pool. It's a $1.10 buy-in, very small buy-in. Sundays 10 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Added to your Sunday grind, $1.10 in the private tab of the tournaments lobby. You'll find the tournament there. It is password protected. The December 6th tournament, that is 3 days from now, is 6 max, no limit. Password is Kid Poker. This is the one we talked about last week. We're going to do the one in advance, though, 2 weeks ahead. December 13th, 6 max, 5-card PLO. The password is going to be Milestone. For all those milestone mania that was going on at PokerStars this week with all the Christmas festival that's happening there. If you want to check out what promotion is going on each day, head to your PokerStars client, open it up, and in the promotions tab you'll find what's going on that day that's available for you. Lots of stuff going on there. So check that out. And that's the invitational. Do you want to get to the Ross report? Let's do that.
Roscoe. Sure glad he's all right.
Listen, boy, you gotta pick your spots good. You gotta make hay while the sun shines. Hey, good. You dipstick!
It's time for a Roscoe report.
Roscoe, you played some online poker this week?
Oh, yeah.
All right, we got some online hands.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Playing on the secret British Columbia site.
Oh, the secret.
the ring-fenced British Columbia sites that everybody's been talking about.
Playnow.com.
Yeah. Don't blow up my spot.
Yeah.
People are moving to British Columbia just to play this.
So that'd be nice because then we get more games going.
You've been playing some head-up PLO.
Yeah, just trying to get.
Probably because it's the only kind you can play.
Well, they're short. No, because they're short. The games are always short-handed, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of short-handed, but this was a heads-up table.
It was okay.
This was a. I still try to practice some solid game selection, and this guy I had never seen before, so I decided to take a shot against him at 1-2 PLO.
Okay.
So I am in seat 1. At this point, I guess I'm up a bit on him because I have 500.
Wait, you're at seat 1 at the heads-up table? This is relevant information.
Can you explain your screen name for us? Your screen name is Free Gucci.
Oh yeah, because Gucci Man's in jail.
Gucci Man?
Gucci Man's a rapper.
Oh.
And He's in jail.
Does he belong to be in jail? Should he be in jail? Is he a danger to the public?
I think he hit some guy in the head with a champagne bottle.
So yes, he is a danger to the public. Okay,
that would be a yes.
All right.
And he's been in and out of jail for a long time. So,
gotcha.
Looking at it right now, it seems kind of like a douchey name, like free Gucci.
Free Gucci stuff.
Yeah, free. I wear Gucci.
All right.
So I have 551, and he has 191 to start the hand. So I post the big blind, and I am dealt Jack 10, Jack 10.
Nice.
With one suit.
Okay.
He raises to $5. I 3-bet to 15, and he calls. The flop is 6, 4, 10.
That's a good flop.
It is a great flop.
Top set.
No
flush draw. Rainbow, okay?
I continuation bet after 3-betting, $22.50, and he flats. Turn is a pretty terrible card. It is a 7.
7 of spades.
So 6, 4, 10, 7. No possible flushes.
Brings it back to our spade draw.
Oh, it does. It brings
a couple of straights.
Yes.
And a couple of straights.
All the straights. So I check, and he checks behind.
Okay. Should we talk about it as it goes to you? Yeah, I don't like the check on the turn. I understand if you're playing 6-max or full ring or whatever, that maybe that you can be playing head up.
If the guy is 5'8" here, is he going to raise? I guess that's
probably. I think he is. Yeah, but I also think that you can't just give him a straight when you're playing head up.
Right.
Especially with all the draws.
Well, there are a lot of straights. There's
8-9,
8-5, and then there's 5-3, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
That's the thing. He's certainly not going to raise with 5-3.
Probably not.
Yeah,
but how? So there's a question. Yeah, are you going to get value from smaller sets and that kind of thing too? But he probably doesn't have that many smaller sets either, given that it's 10-6-4.
Yeah,
I just don't want to give him the free draw there, where he's going to pick up a bunch of draws. Okay, check.
So it goes check.
River.
On the river is a 5.
So now it is 10-6-4.
That is much worse than the turn.
7 a turn, 5 river, no flush comes in, but there's a 4-card straight on board.
Yeah. So I check, and he tank bets 56-25.
The pot. Okay, don't tell me what happened.
Well, I'm not telling you what happened, but I can tell you.
Yeah, your thought process.
I thought about this for pretty much my whole time bank, and I was like, what would he check back on the turn that he would be bombing on the river like this? So I got curious, and I called.
Okay. Yeah.
And
hang on.
I would expect you to be good like a lot here.
Yeah.
Because 8-9 clearly bets the turn.
Yep.
And we just talked about whether 8-5 would raise the turn, so I think 8-5 bets the turn too, right? And those are the primary issues we're worried about. The ones that
you're worried about.
Sorry, those are the ones we can eliminate. The ones that we're worried about sort of are the random 8-7, things that like 8-7-6 are just random kind of rundowns
6,
that have an 8
7,
and
8.
a straight card in them, right? So,
yeah, 6,
we're
8, 7, 8.
Never going to get shown the nuts
but he also knows that you don't have the nuts. So if he does have that 8-7, 8-6 hand, that are probably the 2 cards that you're worried about. He's got a free bet there, right? Now, is he going to bet? Is he going to giant ship pot? Especially in that board, I doubt it. I mean,
you would think it would be more of a value bet.
He's going for value because he knows he's good.
It kind of looks like 2 8s.
It does, yeah. I like the call. I probably
2 8s or 2 9s.
Okay.
What did he
showed have? The Queen 10 Deuce King.
Nice. Take it down.
Ship
it to the good guy.
Yeah. So here's another hand versus the same villain. I don't think these hands are in order, but it doesn't really matter. At this point, I have 494, and he has 224.
Okay. So he starts effective 110 bigs. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I'm on the button. I am dealt 3 deuce 7 ace with ace 3 of diamonds, 7 deuce clubs.
So you have ace deuce 3 7 double suited.
Yes.
Okay.
So I raise to 5.
Yep.
And he calls.
Okay.
The board is 9-7-7.
Flop 9-7-7, 2 spades.
So I have the ace 7.
Triples. You have triples.
So he checks. I bet $6. He check raises to 2250, and I call.
Okay. I mean, I think you're going to get it in. Like, you're going to get it in here no matter what. Head up, I think.
I don't agree with that because I just think. I mean, you have the under trips too, right? So I think 977 is different from like 774 because you could possibly be drawing dead. I mean, not very often. But
yeah.
It does happen that you're just drawing dead against. Well, not dead, but like you could be up against 9s or 9/7s, which have.
Yeah, well, of course you could be, but you're also up against like 8-10. You're up against spade draws. It's head up, right? It's not full ring. Like
he's just gonna like check raise you with a straight draw.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I was confused about on this. I don't remember.
I'm check raising with a, if I have 8-10 and a spade draw, I'm check raising there for sure, 100% of the time. Now
that seems kind of like a suicide plan, though. If
what?
Because
you got to. I'm getting 100 big blinds in with A7 on the 977 flop. Head up for sure. That's. I mean, there's just too many sevens that you're ahead of.
Yeah. I don't have his like stats or anything. But I don't think.
But
flop
the
question
is not whether you're ahead of them. The question is whether you're ahead of them after 100 big blinds goes in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people don't fold. People like to get in 100 big blinds with trip sevens in that spot a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess I've just never. I've gotten in these spots and been good too often to fold. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I mean. It's just a weird spot.
So anyway, so you go. The betting round goes. You check. You bet 6. He raises to 2250. Sorry, he checks. You bet 6. He raises 2250. You flat. I think I'm raising there, and raising to get it in. So anyway, that's just the way I play it. Terrence, what do you think? How are you playing that? When he raises,
I would call on the flop.
Also,
and what fold to bad turns? Like you're folding to a jack, a spade, a 6, like those kind of hands?
Yeah, well, I mean, at some point, I think if this guy continues to barrel me, he's probably going to show me a full house.
But yeah, in this situation, the straight and flush cards aren't that much of a deterrent because it's still a paired board, and you can still fill up with your other 3 cards.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you flat.
You have a draw essentially, right?
Yeah,
you have the full house draw.
The turn is a 4 of clubs, offsuit 4, 9-7-7, 4 on the turn. He bets 40, and you call.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And are you calling all rivers in that spot? Like, what are you doing if a bad card comes? Because now you have.
Well, I'm just basically trying to fill up.
Right.
But
we're still drawing.
But how much?
I'm assuming now that we're behind at this point.
Yeah,
like
that's
after this guy's check raise the flop, we're behind. We're not sure if hitting will actually win the hand, which is kind of scary. But we assume we're behind and we have a draw to a full house.
But you got $60 in at this spot of 100, right?
Mm-hmm.
You started.
Sorry,
you've got 100.
500, and he has.
Oh, sorry, right. I was thinking 1.
He has 224. His effective stack is 224. So
right. Sorry, that's my mistake. Okay, go ahead. So you hit 40.
So I call again.
40, you called. Worst card in the deck.
The river's an 8.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
the
worst card might be a 9, but.
No, I don't think he's gonna have a.
No, I think an 8's worse than
8 spades is worse.
Oh yes, it's okay.
So it's 7, 7, 9, 2 spades in the flop, 4 in the turn, 8 of spades on the river. Brings the flush draw, brings all the straights, brings all the full houses.
Mm-hmm.
He does not bring your full house.
Doesn't bring your full house.
So he pots again, or
yeah. I don't mind. No, I don't mind the fold on the river. Given that card, it's basically the worst card. So I don't mind that fold, but I think I'm getting in earlier. That's all.
So you're calling if like a 5 comes.
Yep, I'm calling if I fill a king,
or a 6.
That
well,
kind
obviously you're calling if you fill, but I'm like
most. It's not much different,
most
right?
blank rivers.
Yeah, so a deuce and a king aren't a whole lot of difference when you have a7 there, right? On the river.
Well, a king certainly is because now you're losing to king 7, whereas before you were winning. But yeah.
Okay. So next hand is same guy again.
Okay.
I think this hand is actually earlier than the last 2, but. So I have 414. He has 212.
Okay.
You can just add the stacks and see how much rake you guys have paid.
It was quite a bit.
The difference between the 2 stacks in the first hand and the first hand.
I think they take up to like $1.50, possibly $2. So.
Playing head up, yikes. Okay,
so that's what we should really be talking about.
Organize a sit out of play now.
Well, Seems beatable.
Okay, yeah, the sit out of play now is happening every day. You're just not aware.
That's right.
Okay.
100 big blinds. Gotcha. Go.
I have 200.
No, I know, but the effective stacks are 100 because he has 100.
Okay, so I'm on the button. I am dealt 3 of spades, queen of clubs, 5 of hearts, 9 of hearts.
Oh, premium hands now.
Mm-hmm. So I raised to 5. He 3-bets.
Wait. No apology for raising to 5?
Sorry?
He's not under the gun.
I guess I'm technically under the gun.
He is under the gun. All right.
Yes. Yeah.
Under the gun, you don't raise. You limp in there.
So
you have, let's do this again. Queen 9-5-3 with the 9-5 of hearts. Yeah. You raised a 5.
So he 3-bets, and I'm loving my hand, so I call.
Okay.
You're going to trap.
Yeah.
Checking. You don't want to let him know that you have the
calling to trap. Also, just being in position is a big deal.
Okay.
So I flop 2 pair, queen 5-7 board.
First of all, I want to say
rainbow.
I probably play it this exact same way. I'm going to raise call there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you're raising like 80-90% of hands.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
So I call and flop 2 pair.
But you flop top and bottom. There's no draw, so it's queen 7-5 rainbow.
There's wraps possible.
No, I meant flush draw.
Okay. Queen 5-7. So he checks, and I check behind.
What? No, I hate that. This is why you call. Do you want to get this guy to get?
This is where you make him call once with aces and fold.
Yeah. No, I think checking there is a pretty bad mistake. I'm betting there all the time.
Yeah.
And getting it in.
Yeah. So the turn is a queen.
So you fill up. The turn is now. So it's queen 7-5 on the flop. Queen on the turn. You now have the foolish house.
Yeah.
He checks.
It's pretty much the nuts at this point.
The effective nuts.
So I bet 18. He calls 18.
Okay.
The river is a 10. He checks. I bet 60. He calls 60.
So you bomb the river.
Yeah.
Because he's got a lot of times he's going to have aces, maybe with ace queen in there, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to pay you off in that spot.
I think he bets the turn with ace queen, but he probably has aces a lot.
Yeah. I like it. I played it almost exactly the same way, except I bet the flop.
So he calls, and he actually had king jack 6 queen.
King queen jack 6.
So king queen. Okay.
With the suited queen.
All right then.
Okay.
Yeah. So
good bomb.
Good pot control there.
Yep. Well, I mean, you're going to get it in earlier if you bet the flop, I guess. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So probably should have bet the flop. So this was a 1-2-6 max game last night.
Okay. Same website.
Yep. So I am in seat 1 with 395.
2 people are sitting out, so it's 4-handed.
It's 4-handed. Villain has 251. Yeah, we're all over 100 big blinds deep.
Okay.
I am in the big blind, and I am dealt the 3 of spades, 9 of clubs, 4 of diamonds, 6 of clubs.
9, 6, 4, 3 clubs.
Another premium hand.
Yeah.
So Cletus folds. It's raised in middle position.
Yeah.
Small blind.
Calls,
and I call.
I'm folding there, by the way.
4-handed?
That is not a good hand.
That's not a good hand.
Makes lots of straights.
It really doesn't, actually. When you have the low end, it really doesn't make that many straights.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely folding that one. Okay, anyway, so let's play as...
Because as it turns out, Ross, there aren't cards lower than 2.
Okay.
Let's continue as played.
So the flop is Jack 3-6.
2 diamonds, Jack 6-3. You flop bottom 2.
Yes.
Okay.
It goes.
Which you often will when you have, by the way, 9-6-4-3.
Yeah. Okay. So checks around, and I'm genius because the turn's a 6.
So you now have the full house.
Yes.
Okay. Check small blind. You bet 8. Fold, and the small blind calls your $8 bet.
Yes.
River is the 4 of clubs. It's now Jack 6-3, 6-4 on the river. No flush makes it. He now bets 16-62 into you, and you raise to 51-42.
interesting. I kind of like it because he's repping fours full somehow. I mean, I don't know how he has fours full after this, but he may have the same hand as you, chopping a lot of time. But
I think he could have Jack 6 here.
That was the other thing I was thinking. You could have Jack 6. So, yeah, I'm kind of inclined to just call.
Yeah, I think I'm just calling. Raise, I think I'm just calling in this spot.
Why would he check Jack 6 though?
Why would he check Jack 6? So you'll bet and he'll call and then he'll bomb the river. People do that. They just think, oh, I'm not going to scare this guy out, and then when the river comes, they're going to bomb. So I'm going to probably just call the river, given the way the hand went down. But
it definitely looks fishy, or he just has like some complete random bluff that
he's never calling anyway with, right? If you raise him.
Okay. Well, I do raise, and he does call.
Okay, and he has.
Okay. He has the old 5 deuce straight.
Oh, you made the.
That is not.
That's not a good hand either. Not a
good hand.
Good raise.
Most hands that have 5 deuce in it should not be in there at this point.
I don't. So is he calling? Oh, he did call. What am I talking about? He did call the raise. So I guess that was in the
results oriented. So thin value bet city. That's what we learned.
Yeah. Value raise. Okay. Cool. Here is another hand.
Oh, we got more.
This is good. Lots of PLO hands.
50 cent $1.
6 max. No, this is heads up.
Probably delete the results. Okay, so this is heads up.
Okay.
I have 100 big blinds. Villain has more in the big blind. I am dealt 8, ace, 9.
Okay. You have ace. Hang on. You have ace, 9, 8 with the ace 9 of clubs.
Yes.
He raises to 3 in the button. You 3-bet to 9. He calls. The flop is 6, 4, 3. Rainbow, 1 club. You bet 9 and he calls you. The turn is the beautiful 3 of spades. Now it's 6, 4, 3, 3. As good a card for your hand really as you can get other than an ace. The bet is 18. You lead 18. He calls you. Like it so far, T?
Yeah, boy.
I mean,
I'm not sure that I bet the flop. I mean, it's a pretty bad flop.
I think I'm betting the flop just because you gotta. I mean, if the guy has enough
just random overcards
that he's going to try and raise you off with, I mean, it's just one of those. It depends. I mean, I guess this one depends on game flow a lot. I think for me,
we just missed the flop so hard on this hand. I think, but I mean, like most of the time, I guess as the pre-flop's 3 better, you will miss this a lot. But
exactly. You just can't let people bomb you off hands all the time when you're playing and the flop comes medium or low cards, right?
Right, but that's why you check a lot of good hands. I mean, that's why you might check the 9, 8, 7, 6 or something like that, or
sure.
10, 6, 5.
So when the turn comes to 3, now I'm probably more into pot control mode. I think I'm going to check there. I don't mind the bet. I mean, you can argue checking the flop, check calling the flop, or I can't. You're going to check fold, Terrence? I don't think so, right?
On the turn?
On the flop. You're saying you don't love the bet?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably check call on the flop, and then...
So the turn...
But as played, the turn... Yeah, the turn is interesting. I think I'd probably check the turn, too, but maybe I'm just a pussy.
No, I think I like the check on the turn. I mean, I don't think it's your... I think you're now trying to keep the pot as small as possible. Yeah. And now... So as played, you bet 18. He called you, Jack... Sorry, Jack.
So a little history on this guy is he is extremely aggressive and peels super light. Yeah.
So he's got a super wide range here when he flats the flop.
So I bet again, and he just flats.
Okay.
Now, the river is a 9.
So the board is 6, 4, 3, 3, 9.
Yes.
No flushes. Mm-hmm. You now check.
Yeah.
He bets 72, shoves. He bets effectively putting you all in, and you call. Yeah, I mean, I think you're gonna be beat a lot probably. But I think it depends. This is a game flow one, especially if a guy's super aggressive. I don't want to be.
I just don't like how big we've built this pot with one pair now. Like this is sort of a disaster now because I think most of the time you get. I mean, he can like your hand is so capped right now after you check the river because there's only one bet behind. And
right.
I think that this guy allows the guy to freely value bet. Like
but it also, because you're so capped, allows him to bomb away at you, right?
That's true, though. But that's sort of why we don't build the pot with hands like this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you're beat a lot, but I'm probably calling as well.
Yeah, it's kind of gross. I definitely probably should have played this hand a little backwards, I think. So I called, and he just had a 3.
Yeah.
Wow. So he value bet very light.
Good value bet. I mean, he's got you square on aces, right?
Seems like it, yeah.
All right. That's the Roscoe report?
It is.
All right. That's awesome. Well, we didn't hear from Mr. Patrick Parkinson, our old buddy, so hopefully we'll get him maybe in the following weeks coming up. We've also
still managed to throw 3 hours of content at you.
Yeah. Was it 3 hours?
Yep.
Awfully close.
Crazy. Thanks so much to Terrence for joining us from Hong Kong, Dani for joining us in the first segment to talk about the Pokercast changes, PokerStars changes. I'm getting tired myself. Matthew for joining us, talking to us also about the PokerStars changes, and you for listening to the show, and Roscoe for coming into the suburbs. Appreciate that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Check out the forum as usual, please, and send us in some voicemails for the upcoming shows. Have a good week, and talk to you soon.
We'll record now.
We are now officially recording.
We're on.
This is us recording.
Oh, well, that's making it into the outtakes.
Stretching.
All right, I gotta think about what we're doing.
Thinking. You gotta come up with the words in your brain.
Words, brain.
3 hours.
Is it 7 a.m. for me or for you right now?
Not 7 a.m. here. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us. The 2+2 Pokercast has been presented to you by the PokerStars.